GDP beat market expectations. And are we seeing the fund manager of the future? How AI could change investing. Good morning, this is Ian King Live, an hour of business and economic news from the heart of the city. Well, while much of Europe was enjoying a bank holiday yesterday, Americans were waking up to news that another of its largest lenders has had to be rescued. California-based First Republic, which was the 14th largest US bank at the beginning of the year, was seized by the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corp, after a run which saw $100 billion worth of deposits taken out during the first 3 months of the year. Well, the FDIC then sold most of the bank's assets and its deposits to JP Chase. It's the third lender after Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank to require rescuing in recent weeks. I've been speaking with Zoe Gillespie, Divisional Director at RBC Brewin Dolphin, and began by asking her why First Republic ran into difficulties.
Well, we've seen in certainly the banking sector in the US and certainly all over has been pretty much dominated by the fact that with interest rates now starting to increase, we've seen an outflow of deposits from some of these regional banks, which has led to some stress on the sector. And I think certainly what we have seen is through March, there was a run on deposits for First Republic, which has led to this financial instability that's happened in the bank.
Was First Republic seeing a deterioration in the quality of its loan book?
Yeah, I think we've seen the quality potentially more towards the depositors leaving has actually been the problem, and obviously there's potential for the quality if the housing market does start to deteriorate. So that there has been a bit of a kind of mixture, but mainly I think it was the fact that they'd had a run on the deposits. Now the business was being informally auctioned for quite a while. No one came forward. Why did the US government decide this weekend that it had to take action? Well, I think the theory was to try and get something done before the market opened on Monday to bring stability to the bank. And I think certainly what we have seen, though, is that generally this has just been a kind of a contained sort of incident. And I think from the banking perspective, I think they was keen to try and sort of stop any kind of further contagion in the sector. So getting it done was important. People will be amazed that this was the 14th biggest bank in America at the beginning of the year. We've seen 3 rescues and Silicon Valley Bank was the 16th largest. Should people be concerned about the overall health of the US banking system? Generally, we feel that it has been contained, and it's certainly to sort of a few banks rather than a banking crisis that's starting to unfold. Has JP Morgan got itself a bargain? Time will tell, and I think it's just going to be interesting to see how they're able to kind of shore up reserves, and I think I think certainly at the moment they're taking on the liabilities as well. So there's potential for sort of kind of some, I suppose, better news for them down the tracks. Are there other US lenders that people should be worried about? At the moment, as I say, we just feel it's contained to certain sort of regional banks, and I think certainly this one seems to be the big story. And I think it was certainly seen as that the drama of the banking sector had been this dominated by this story last week. So I think yesterday the market took the reaction quite well. We saw a very kind of muted response from the banking sort of sector and from Wall Street. So I think certainly it's not something we think is going to spread. Yeah, and absolutely no read across for the UK banking sector. The UK banking sector, I mean, today we've had strong results from HSBC, so they've tripled their profits. So that's certainly been viewed very positively this morning by the market. So UK sort of banking sector seems to be quite strong at the moment. Yeah, I mean, the capital ratios, for example, NatWest on Friday, I mean, they actually have more capital than they were targeting at this point in time. So they look relatively healthy. Yeah. So I think, as I say, I think it does point to the fact that as the months have gone on, it's showing that the banks that have been better capitalised and have actually been in financially better positions have reported better numbers and have actually been more resilient. And it certainly seems to be contained to more sort of regional banks at this stage. Yeah, we hear from Lloyds Banking Group later in the week. What are you expecting to hear from them? Well, I think, like anything, I think we've had some positive news stories from, as I say, NatWest and HSBC. So potentially we may see more same again coming from them. And I think, like anything, it's going to be the sort of for shareholders what the dividend's going to be, and certainly any kind of if we're going to see kind of any share buybacks or anything coming through. And just going back to First Republic, marks out of 10 for the authorities in the US. They seem to have done a pretty good job. Well, I think they've done it quickly. I think marks out of 10. I'm not sure, but certainly the way they've done it, I think they were quick to act, and I think certainly they have managed to steady the nerves in the banking sector. And as I say, yesterday's reaction on Wall Street was muted, which I think shows you they've done a good job.
Well, let's take a closer look now at those HSBC results that Zoe referenced there. The bank has reinstated its quarterly dividend for shareholders after reporting better than expected results for the first 3 months of the year. Well, Europe's largest bank posted a pre-tax profit of $12.9 billion for the quarter. That was more than 3 times the $4.2 billion it achieved in the same period last year, and reflected an increase in the spread between what it charges borrowers and pays depositors. The lender's profit was also boosted on a one-off basis by the reversal of a $2 billion impairment charge that it took against its retail banking business in France. HSBC said this morning that sale may no longer now go through. And staying with another big set of company results, BP returned to profit during the first 3 months of the year after reporting a huge loss 12 months ago related to its exit from Russia. Well, replacement cost profit, which is the recognised industry measure, came in at $8.7 billion for the quarter. That compared with a loss of $23 billion in the same period last year, as the oil major wrote down the value of its stake in the Russian oil and gas company Rosneft. On an underlying basis, replacement cost profit came in at $5 billion. That was down from $6.2 billion in the same period last year, but up from $4.8 billion in the final 3 months of 2022, and reflected what the company said was an exceptional performance in its gas marketing and trading arm. BP said it incurred taxes of $650 million in its North Sea business during the period. Now, confidence among small businesses has rebounded strongly during the first 3 months of the year. That's according to the latest survey from the Federation of Small Businesses. But the organisation warns that its members remain cautious for the remainder of the year. Only 2 in 5 small firms expect sales to increase during the current quarter. Well, joining me now is the National Chair of the FSB, Martin McTague. Martin, welcome to you. I think this is one of the biggest rebounds in confidence we've seen from your surveys. What was driving that?
Well, it was a really big rebound. We're still in negative territory, but the people that I think did the best were the ones that had suffered the most during the COVID crisis. So you've got rebounds with wholesale, retail, hospitality, and that's put us in just marginally negative territory, which is still down on where we were this time last year.
Yeah, you mentioned the headline number is still marginally in negative territory. I also noticed there are some quite interesting disparities between different groups within the organisation. For example, professional services and tech seems to be quite positive compared with everyone else.
Yeah, I think this reflects what we saw during COVID. You know, those companies that had done well during COVID continue to do well, and they're driving that sense of positivity. But you know, what I think is really encouraging is you're now seeing those businesses that really struggled during COVID starting to see those early glimmers of hope and recovery.
So a good direction of travel then. It's clear, though, there are a lot of concerns about overheads. Labour costs in particular remain difficult for a lot of small firms, and so do utility bills.
Yeah, the end of the energy bill relief scheme was a real disappointment for us, and its replacement is as good as useless, frankly. And what we're seeing is a lot of businesses that took out energy contracts in the summer of last year now trapped in really difficult conditions. We've asked the government, and we've worked with some of the big energy companies to try and get what we call blend and extend, which is essentially allowing them to go for a longer term contract that covers this really difficult period. We're getting some positive reaction, but still it's a long way to go.
Martin, this is the first chance we've had to chat since the CBI's woes became very public. There's a bit of talk around about potentially bringing together the various business organisations like yourselves, the British Chambers of Commerce. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, we have very different constituencies. You know, the CBI are largely represent the larger businesses, and we are clearly focused on the needs of the 5.5 million small businesses. So I don't think it is rational or reasonable to say that all the big four business organizations can somehow blend together and represent business as a whole. We have clearly different interests. You've only got to look at late payment where large businesses consistently pay small businesses late, that's something we need to shout about, and it wouldn't be easy for an organisation representing all of business.
And I take it, I mean, you obviously speak to your members a great deal. You've had no sort of comments from members saying, look, this is time to get into bed with the likes of the BCC and the CBI?
No, probably the opposite, to be honest, Ian. I mean, I think there's a real sense that the interests of small businesses need to have a distinct voice. You know, small businesses aren't able to buy big public affairs consultancies to represent their view in government. They aren't able to use the likes of CBI to provide them with a platform. Small businesses need the FSB, and we're going to stay around.
All right, Martin, got to leave it there. Good to talk to you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Green King, the UK's biggest integrated pub operator and brewer, has reported a sharp rise in annual profits following the bounce back from the pandemic. The company, which owns pub restaurant brands such as Chef and Brewer and Hungry Horse, reported a full-year operating profit on an adjusted basis of £192.6 million for 2022. That was up from one of £18.6 million in 2021, when COVID restrictions were still in place for much of the year. The company, whose beer brands include Green King IPA, Old Speckled Hen and Abbot Ale, said trade had returned to pre-pandemic levels by the spring of last year. Well, joining me now is Nick McKenzie. He's Chief Executive of Green King. Nick, good to see you this morning. That was 2022. What are you seeing right now across the business?
Yeah, look, I think 2022 was a really, really solid year for us, and it was achieved, I guess, against a pretty challenging backdrop. And you've mentioned all that. We had Omicron, we had strikes, we had issues around labour inflation and not least energy as well. So a really, really challenging year, but a really, really solid performance, one which we continued our investment programme, continued to invest behind our brands and our people, and came out with a really solid result, returning to PBT profit for the year. I guess as we go into this year, the outlook is still quite challenging. Costs are still a problem. I think the good news is on some levels, the consumer has stayed positive about coming out to the pub and enjoying a pint or two. But we still have some challenges to face into as we go into 2023 and beyond. I'm still pretty positive about the long-term outlook for our sector, but I think the next sort of 9 to 12 months still are going to be quite challenging for us.
What are you seeing in terms of input cost inflation, Nick? I mean, the headline number has come down. Are you seeing pressure starting to ease?
Yeah, I mean, the pressure's been pretty high over the last 12 or 18 months. It has eased a little bit, but we still have the challenges around energy. We still have labour inflation, labour cost inflation in our business as well. And food inflation is still high. My hope is during the course of this year that it will come down. It will start to ease, but it's still putting quite a lot of pressure. And you've just talked about this in the previous item around small businesses. They're having real challenges around energy costs, and we need Ofgem and the government and the industry to work together really to try and reduce energy costs for particularly those smaller businesses over the next few months.
From what you're saying, Nick, I shouldn't be expecting a price of my pint of IPA to come down anytime soon.
Well, look, you can get great value for that IPA across the country, and there is still great value out there for lots of different of our products, whether that is food or whether that is on the drink side as well. I was just looking through our menus earlier. You can get any two pub classics in a Hungry Horse for £11.49 right now, which is good value. But there is still upward pressure on pricing. There is still upward pressure that, not just us, many others are having to deal with on price. And whilst you are seeing price inflation, there is still good value out there if you look for it.
You mentioned just now that you've been investing in the business over the last 12 months. You've also been making a few acquisitions. You bought, for example, a business in Scotland, Ubiquitous Chip.
Yeah, look, we've looked at possible acquisitions, and we still do, actually. We continually look. And we look for businesses that fit our strategy. We look for businesses that have great operations, and certainly the Ubiquitous Chip, which is a fantastic business up in Scotland, has been a real strong addition to our portfolio. We also invested in a business called Hickory's, 17 smokehouses, mostly in the North and the Midlands, and we've announced 4 new sites. So we're converting existing Green King pubs into that brand, and we'll continue to roll that out. And we have a fantastic management team who we're investing behind, who hopefully will take that brand forward as well.
What are your expectations for the coronation, Nick? I know you've got a new beer out to mark the occasion.
Yeah, we've brewed a coronation beer. We brewed one back in 1954 as well for Queen Elizabeth coronation. It's out there in 300 pubs. It is fantastic. I've had a pint, and hopefully people will enjoy it over the coronation weekend. We think about 1.6 million more pints across our estate. We also think, I think BBPA put it out there, 62 million more pints across the whole industry. So it is an opportunity for people to celebrate in pubs. A third of the population have celebrated a major national event in a pub, and no better place to do it than in a pub. And this weekend we have lots of events going on across all our businesses, whether that's tea parties or whether you can do pretty much anything actually in terms of those parties. So lots going on, and hopefully it'll be a real welcome boost for not just us, the whole industry as well.
Nick, a lot of your peers, for example, Marston's, have divested their brewing arms. Why does it still make sense for you to remain an integrated operator?
Yeah, we're really proud of our beers. We're really proud of what they deliver. And importantly, obviously, Green King IPA is one of our major brands, and we have Green King across or above the door of many of our pubs. So it is really important from a brand perspective. They are market-leading brands. We're actually in market share growth during the course of last year. So in their own right, they're really strong brands. And our brewing and brands business delivered a good profit for us last year. Now, it is challenging, particularly around cask ale and changes in customer behaviour around drinking cask ale. But we've launched, as you probably know, a couple of new premium beers this year, Levelhead and Flint Eye, which are going really, really well. So we'll continue to invest behind our beers and brands, and they continue to be an important part of our business.
All right, Nick, good to hear from you. I actually had a pint of Abbott yesterday, and very nice it was too.
Excellent. Well done. Thank you.
Good to see you, Nick. Thanks a million.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Time to have a look at this morning's business pages, and the Financial Times, as you might expect, leads its print edition with yesterday's rescue of the US lender First Republic, much of which has been acquired by JP Morgan Chase. Well, the FT's columnist Megan Green, who's shortly to join the Bank of England's Monetary Policy Committee, writes that we can count on there being further bank instability as major central banks keep rates high to fight inflation and shrink their balance sheets. Well, the FT's digital editions, meanwhile, are reporting that investors are concerned that the third season of a bank by US regulators since March threatens to constrain credit and worsen an economic slowdown. Well, the Times also leads with JP Morgan's acquisition of most of First Republic, but its business front page also carries a report that Alibaba's founder Jack Ma is taking up a teaching position in Japan as he begins to reassume a public profile. It suggests that this marks an end to his career as an active businessman. Daily Telegraph also leads with First Republic, and in addition on its front page, it carries details of a report from the think tank Policy in Practice, which warns that the Chancellor's decision to freeze the level at which workers start paying 40% income tax at the list level until 2028, as well as the thresholds at which child benefit starts and finishes being tapered away, means 180,000 families who also qualify for universal credit face effective marginal tax rates of 103% within 5 years. Well, joining me this morning is the Sun's business editor, Ashley Armstrong. Ashley, good to see you this morning. So what's caught your eye this morning?
So yeah, I mean, obviously the First Republic has dominated all the headlines, but there are two things that caught my eye. The first being on the front of the FT, actually, we saw quite an interesting thing about PwC and EY saying that actually their young joiners needed almost social skills training to be brought up to speed. And I don't know about you, I've heard that from all sorts of different industries, particularly in hospitality, that actually these new recruits, because of lockdown and the pandemic, they were so used to kind of being on their own, they almost don't know how to kind of problem solve, work in a team. And I think it's quite a kind of a frightening thing when we're talking about kind of our labour gap shortages and our productivity. If actually there's a whole kind of swathe of younger joiners that aren't able to catch up to the level of their what they're previously expected to do, I think that's going to make the generational gap and attitudes even harder to kind of bring together.
And a real challenge for employers, really, as they try and sort of remold these people.
Yeah, and I think it speaks a lot to kind of, we've spoken about workplace attitudes changing, right? And I think if suddenly, you kind of get slightly older workers, or even, workers of my age, and you're getting kind of new people coming in, and they are almost so sheltered in terms of knowing how people speak to each other, or being told that isn't a good enough job, or how to deal without kind of almost being in your parents' supervision. I think that's going to be like a really tricky situation.
Do you think that is just confined to the pandemic generation? I mean, if I think back as a sort of old timer of newsrooms, we used to pick up the phone and talk to people. Everyone seems to communicate via email these days and WhatsApp.
100%. No, exactly. And I mean, I'm still kind of on the phone, and especially with newsrooms, you want that to be the overarching sound. But I think, you're right. So many people are used to kind of just only doing things by email, only doing things by WhatsApp, and you're losing that skill of kind of actually having a conversation. And as we know, you always get more from somebody kind of by hearing the tone of somebody's voice, and almost those social cues aren't being learnt online.
Yeah, I thought that was quite interesting talking to Mick McKenzie there from Green King about his expectations for the coronation. Are you hearing much positivity around town?
Well, I mean, I hope so. I think so. I mean, it's coming on the trot of another bank holiday, and we've got one bank holiday on the end. So there is starting to be a bit of a kind of like, when are people going to be in work? But I think the hospitality can do with some real cheer, and it's really needed. Let's face it, after kind of the waves of closures that they've had and restrictions, and then we've also got the kind of downturn and kind of hitting people's spending. I think actually, if people want that excuse, and as we know, even though we're in cash-strapped times, people like to treat themselves still.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny if you think back to 1953 and the coronation then. I mean, there were some items that were still on the ration. So
I know. Well, I mean, sadly, we might be even going back into rations of some things. Like, I know that there's been a bit of an outcry about quiche being kind of like the favoured coronation because actually eggs are very short, and chickens are kind of like the next thing on it. But generally, I think we're going to be having quite kind of a multicultural kind of buffet that we're going to be seeing across most households.
Yeah. Thinking about today's news, how are you going to be writing up BP's results? Because, I mean, most of the price of petrol is actually government taxes. It's not what BP makes.
I mean, 100%, and we kind of know that on the fuel duty, actually, the government did very well when the price at the pumps was very high. BP, I mean, it is a tricky one, right? Because look at their trading arm, and that is where they're making so much money. And even though there's been a fall in the natural gas prices, they're still making a hell of a lot from kind of trading that. And that is an arm that, you can say campaigners say there's no kind of production, there's no kind of resource. Yes, it takes a level of genius to make kind of certain amount of money on that, but it's kind of commodities trading at the end of the day. Whether it's windfall tax is hard enough. I mean, we've seen the likes of Harbour Energy already saying, the UK is no longer attractive to be investable. We want BP to be investing in this country, but also it has made an exceptional amount of profit, and whether the windfall tax could be used and doing something else, like Keir Starmer was on the radio today saying, use that to freeze council tax bills. It's very political.
Feels like he spent that windfall tax several times over already. Yeah. Ashley, got to leave it there. Good to see you this morning. Thank you. A reminder to you to check out the Ian King Live podcast, which you can find by scanning the QR code on your screen right now. It's available now wherever you get your podcasts, including the Sky News app, Apple and Google Podcasts, and of course, Spotify. Still here to come on Ian King Live. We're going to have a look at how the markets are doing this Tuesday morning. Don't go away.
Kingdom. These last few years have seen some huge stories. And these stories have been driven by politics, by politicians, the people in power.
You must stay at home.
And it's my job to figure out how these decisions made by politicians impact all of us in our everyday lives.
This is the worst thing I've ever been through in my life.
People turn up here with their child stuff in a black sack and just say, I don't want to. And that is what it is. It's first class poverty.
Is this an example of the welfare state failing?
We take you to the heart of the stories that shape our world.
These are stories that affect us all. Millions of children are now having to catch up. Some stories have changed all of our lives. Because like the residents, the staff are being infected. Politicians, they make decisions all of the time, and it's our job to hold them to account. I wonder if you will take this opportunity to apologise to those families. But in the end, the real power doesn't actually lie with the politicians. The real power lies with the people. I'm Nick Martin. I'm the People and Politics correspondent at Sky News.
Well, stocks in the Asia-Pacific region had a largely positive session overnight. Only Sydney was the only major market in the region, in fact, to show a loss on the session. Tokyo finished slightly higher ahead of the three-day public holiday for Golden Week. In Europe, stocks are largely trading to the downside this morning. Here's the current picture. Main indices in Europe all in negative territory apart from the MIB in Milan. That's ahead of interest rate decisions later this week from the US Federal Reserve and the European Central Bank. Talking points today include Electrolux. The shares are up 4% in Stockholm amid reports of a possible Chinese takeover approach. Well, here in London, the FTSE 100 is largely unchanged there. Look at that. It's 1 3/4 points to the good there. BP is dragging on the index. It pared back share buyback gains, and that has been enough to clip 20 points from the index on its own. So the index would be 20 points higher in the absence of BP. On the upside, well, HSBC added some 23 points to the index following its results. HSBC, they're up nearly 4 3/4% right now. Elsewhere among the blue chips, the plant and tool hire group Ashtead. Its shares are ahead by some 2.5%, and that's after it launched a new share buyback programme worth $500 million. Outside the FTSE, the car parts maker Dowlais is ahead by some 5.5%. Its shareholder register continuing to settle down following its recent demerger from Melrose Group. On the foreign exchange markets, well, it's quite quiet again ahead of interest rate decisions this week. You can see sterling is off 1/3 of 1% against the dollar, 1/10 of 1% against the euro. The single currency, meanwhile, off 1/5 of 1% against the greenback. As for the oil price, well, that rallied yesterday while European markets were shut. It's given back some of those gains today. A barrel of Brent crude will currently set you back $79.20 a barrel. That's off a little over 1/10 of 1%. Joining me this morning is the senior equity analyst at Investec Wealth and Management, Dr. Jimmy Mushishateri. Jimmy, good to see you this morning. We're halfway through the earnings season. What do you take away so far?
Well, it's been a pretty good earnings season, much better than expectations. Over 80% of companies have exceeded, admittedly, low expectations. But what we've learned is that the economy remains resilient. We've been waiting for a recession that is yet to come. But the outlook is not set by any means. There is still a lot of uncertainty out there.
Do you think people were a bit too, I mean, clearly they were. People were obviously pessimistic going into this earnings season. Why do you think they overdid the pessimism? US in particular?
Yeah, indeed. A lot has been going on in the US, particularly on the banking turmoil side of things. Inflation has proved to be quite sticky. What came after COVID were supply chain constraints. We've had a lot of labor shortages, which has resulted in a cost of living crisis as well. So a lot of moving parts have meant that expectations have been coming down. But what we've seen is that companies have proven to be resilient. The consumer has proven to be resilient, and companies have also done pretty well, even though they issued very cautious outlook statements.
And one of the things that you've been looking at quite closely lately is healthcare. Fair bit of M&A going on right now.
Indeed, M&A is a very strong tailwind in healthcare. In fact, in these uncertain times, One is looking for quality defensive assets, and healthcare does tick all those boxes. It's cheap, it provides a nice dividend yield, and then you've got this M&A tailwind coming behind it. It is really driven by three things. Number one is that biotech companies, which tend to be the targets of the big pharma companies, are cheap thanks to the interest rate tightening cycle. The second thing is that there is very strong innovation there, and pharma needs to infill their pipelines heading towards the mid-decade patent cliff. And then finally, there is a lot of pent-up demand. Many pharmaceutical companies benefited from COVID-19 cash windfalls, and so their balance sheets are very strong right now. And what you tend to find is, unlike big tech, big pharmaceutical companies tend not to run into the risk of regulatory hurdles when it comes to M&A.
Yeah, very interesting to note, actually. We've just had results in the last week from GSK and AstraZeneca. Both did pretty well.
Indeed, AstraZeneca is very strong innovation coming down the pipeline. It has got medicines that are looking at changing the paradigm treatment therapies in breast cancer. The big one coming in a few months' time is a medicine for lung cancer. Now, lung cancer is a very difficult cancer to treat, but this medicine has got very high hopes. GlaxoSmithKline has been going through a difficult period where its pipeline is still at the show me stage, but its HIV business and its vaccines business are doing pretty well.
I like that, the show me stage. Jimmy, good to see you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ian.
Still to come here on Ian King Live. Well, we've got a bit more business news for you first. More with Superdry. Mark Kleiman broke a story on that company on Friday, and we've had more news from them today. Stay tuned for more.
With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820, or you can visit our website www.welllamb.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamb@gmail.com. Well Lamb Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Prampram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Prampram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Tune in to On Point here on Star Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Check me out. He tells me my energy is making him tired.
Yes!
How do you get the energy to do that?
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of digging the hole of darkness.
So what did that?
Myself and the world will adjust. And 2019.
Forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on The CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Star Radio.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Star Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour Show is your best source into the property industry.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
All around the world.
This is Star Radio UK.
Hi there, this is CJ Buckman, your life coach. And whenever I'm in London, I listen to Star Radio UK right here. But guess what? You can listen to wherever you are.
Body is your man. Bekutu, show them you got the cocoa set. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Harry Song, aka Mr. Songs. This is the Kingmaker Baba for the girls. We're here. This is Star Radio. Don't go nowhere. UK, London. We they call them London for who? For here, we they call them London. And that's how you know. Just have fun and stay blessed.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
In your car,
at work,
at home,
on your
This is
smartphone.
Star Radio UK.
Are you ready to turn it up?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, your heart is aching. Smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you find that life is still worthwhile. If you just smile. Hey, this is Archie and you are listening to Star Radio UK and The Morning Show.
This is Star Radio. This is Star Radio. This is Star Radio. This is Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK.
Welcome.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Enlighten your day with Star Radio.
That's what makes you great. You hold the world in your hands.
Okay, let me say massive good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you, wherever you might be on planet Earth. And those of you on other planets as well, we salute you all and we welcome you to the Tuesday edition of the morning show. Today is the 2nd day of May, the year 2023. The time now, 10:41 from the House of London. I remain yours sincerely, your one and only. But let me say good morning to my team this morning. Mr. Frank Davis, Mr. Olayomi Koiki. And my able producer, Mr. Francis Guy. Massive good morning to you, sir. And a special good morning go to Jenkins Johnson, all the way in Liberia. He said we need Star Radio in Liberia, West Africa. Yes, Jenkins. We are working, Jenkins. We are working on something, so we'll unfold it pretty soon. Yeah. Okay, no. Let me say good morning to Anthony Adedeji Aziz. Olakunle, good morning to you. Pastor Momo, good morning. Bishop Adesina, good morning. Pastor Emmanuel Chidi, good morning.
All of you makes my heart beat.
Samsudin, good morning to you. And to every one of you who are tuning this morning, those that I know, those that I don't remember, well, let me put it this way, all protocol observed. Felix all the way in Aberdeen, good morning. Kojodi, good morning to you. Okay, let's crack on. Now, the quote for the day, I'm going to bring you away, and then after that, we'll bring you the weather forecast and the travel updates as well. We'll continue from there. We'll have a look at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe, known as Global Trotting. Then at 11 o'clock, we'll bring you updates from Nigeria. Details of some of the stories making the rounds. We'll continue from there. And then exactly at 12 o'clock, the lines are open for you to add your voice to the discussions. We'll continue from there, and then at 1 o'clock we'll bring the curtains down for the end of the program. So Nigerians, that's what's going to happen today. Let me say good morning once again to the one and only HRH Linda Palian and Yasan to Mr. Palian all the way in Cyprus. We salute you all. Okay, the quote for the day says, men build organizations, machines don't. Men build organizations, machines don't. But machines that don't know how to relate to people, they've not got emotions, right? Okay. So now let's crack on. Let's move on straight to the weather front. It was a mixed bag when it comes to the weather over the weekend.
The hand that made me who I am. Same for now, yesterday, and forevermore. And that's what makes you great. You are God. You will never change. You remain the same to the end. To the end. You are God. One who took my pain, took away my shame. Lord, you reign. That's why forever call you great.
Okay, my sincere apologies for that.
You Lord, great is to be praised.
Okay, so when it comes to the weather front, this is what the weather has got in stock for all of us. For those of you in London and the southeast of England, which I bring you details of at the moment. So this is what's going to happen today. Yes, this afternoon will start with dry conditions and largely cloudy skies towards the end of the day. A few brighter spells may break through the clouds. Tonight, this evening and tonight, we'll see skies becoming gradually clear to leave a dry night for most. The odd patch of cloud will remain in places. It will stay dry as well. Top temperature is going to be 15 degrees, the lower is going to be 5 degrees. Pollen level is going to be high, UV level moderate, pollution low. Sunset 2025 and sunrise for tomorrow morning 05:31 hours. That brings us to the end of the weather forecast. One who took my pain, took away. But 10:45 Check the time. Let's take a commercial break. We come back and I take you straight onto your travels wherever you might be. Stay tuned. Don't you go away. Starr Radio UK.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you ready to turn it up?
This is Starr Radio UK.
Okay, so keep your eyes on the roads. Keep your eyes on the roads. I'm keeping navigated. I promise I'm on the Starr Radio UK Travel Lab that comes your way every weekday from 10:40. It's now 10:47. And what is your travels like this morning? Wherever you are, just stay glued to your set. Don't even think of touching the dial. So this is how the travels is like here in London and some part of the UK as well. On the underground this morning, I can tell you shortly, good service throughout. Now DLR, London Travelink and London Overground, good service there as well. But moving on straight to the major roads in London, I can tell you shortly there as well, no exceptional delays on any part at all. So good service throughout. This one, while we're coming in, I could see that there seemed not to be too much traffic. I was like, well, so that's what's happening. On the river bars this morning as well, good service throughout. The London cable car, good service there as well. But keep your eyes on the roads, keep your eyes on the roads as we keep you navigated. I promise our bond. Moving on to the final segment of the travel update, and that is the National Rail. Now on the National Rail, Great Western Railway, severe delays. Cross Country, Great Northern, Great Southwestern Railway and Southern have all got minor delays. Also, Thames Link, minor delays. That aside, all the others, good service. And that's how we end it there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good don't you, wherever you might be on planet Earth. Enjoy your commute for today. But you know what? Continue to keep those eyes on the roads.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Enlighten your day with Starr Radio.
Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. And now we go straight to Global Trotting, where we bring you everything that seems to be happening across the globe. But top on the agenda this morning, once that we're going to be looking at, once we have Mr. Olayomi Koiki on, Tinubu promises tough decisions. NLC demands new retirement age. Are we going to see what retirement? Do they want to retire a bit earlier than they're supposed to at the moment, or what do you think? Now, Northerners slam Ohanze condemn call for IPOB leader Nnamdi Kano's release. Why? Why are they against the release of Nnamdi Kano? Well, we'll be telling you more about that. And Lai Mohammed acted rascally, flying to London to accuse me of treason. Peter Obi is saying, he's now reacting to that statement that Lai Mohammed made in a press briefing that he was giving outside the country. And motorists stranded as flag takes over Lagos Ibadan Expressway Long Bridge. And then hunter trailing antelope shoots colleague dead in Ogun State. Oh, that's a sad one that has happened, an accident there. But well, we'll be telling you more about that when we come back to the details that is making the rounds in Nigeria. Okay, this morning or today. In some other stories as well, cancer scare, Nigeria bans importation of Indomie noodles. Okay, and I was treated with respect like a VIP. P2OB louds hospitality in London. And treason allegation, P2OB fumes blast Lai Mohammed. More on that front going to be coming your way there, so don't touch the dial at all. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. In other stories making the rounds, Senegalese opposition leader calls for civil disobedience against judiciary. Now, Senegalese main opposition leader Ousmane Sonko has called for national civil disobedience against the judiciary and further reject any dialogue. Well, we'll be telling you more about that as well. Japan and Ghana align in pursuit of reforms at the UN Security Council. And Nigeria marks International Workers' Day. Some of the stories making the rounds there as well. In war-torn Sudan, the sad search for the missing. When Khartoum residents Ayman Abu Aki and his uncle Hossam stopped answering their phones, their family turned to Facebook to check whether they are still alive. But are they? Are they not? Uganda minister shot and killed by bodyguard. One of the stories. Where did we see one of this? It did happen in Turkey, where security guard of one of the an ambassador or something of the sort shot the person dead in front of the cameras. And we've had one in India or Pakistan, one of them as well. So we're going to be telling you more about that when we bring you the details of the stories making the rounds. But let's move on to Ghana as well. ECG considers jail term for illegal connection and other offences. Well. Are they the ones who are going to consider that? It's the courts, it's the judges who have to consider that. ECG cannot say that we are going to put you in prison because of that. They can't do that. They are not the one who forms or make the laws. Yeah, they have to bring it to Parliament for Parliament to see to that. The abuse of entrusted power for private gain is the currency. Special prosecutor on state capture, corruption and fraud. This special prosecutor seems to be making lots of noise, but the question is, has he got teeth to bite at all, or just making noise and what else? And then the former special prosecutor Martin Amidu says the new Chief Justice last 3 stops of Akufo-Addo's long game for 2024 elections. The appointment of the new Chief Justice is another game to get the MPP remain in power or retain power in 2024. So we'll be bringing you more on that front as the program goes on. Flag bearer race. MPP Canada declares support for Joe Gatte's candidacy. Okay, is he just beating about a witch or fighting a lost battle? Buffer Stock Company will be decentralized to ensure food security, create jobs. Therefore, is saying some of the stories making the rounds this morning in Ghana. Now, this National Cathedral has got a few issues, but we have the Samuel Kujata Blacko, a member of Parliament for North Tongo, who has made a new revelation about the National Cathedral project after a trip to the United States of America. The lawmaker, who had been a serial critic of the project, alleging financial misappropriation and corporate governance breaches by the government, has made new disclosure as relates to the incorporation of the project in the United States. His latest post of May 2 made a number of serious disclosures about the project, 5 of which are produced below. 1. Cathedral project registered in Washington, D.C. under different name. Why? 2. No member of clergyman on Ghana Board of Trustees listed in the U.S. document. Why? Address to U.S. registration document is a fraudulent one. Then the 4th one, a black and white American consultant paid $6 million over the project. $6 million. And then identity of 2 unknown men in U.S. incorporation documents have also been revealed. So what is this? What is actually this? Well, lots more going to be coming your way from there. Star Radio UK. Let's move on to other parts of the world. Here in the UK, breaking news says Lucy Lesby, nurse accused of killing babies, babies giving evidence at the trial. Lucy Lesby is accused of murdering 7 babies and attempting to kill 10 others. But she denies all those charges. But she's going to be giving evidence. I don't know whether the parents of these babies who were murdered will be, listening in. I don't know how they're going to be feeling. I hope that the necessary help will be granted them. And man dies after being stuck inside indoor cave. Now, Carl Okefi, yes, 49, died in hospital on Sunday after being seriously injured while at the center. It's one of the stories making the round. Breaking news: 6 Cadbury desserts recalled over Listeria fears. So if you are one of those who love Cadbury products, well, some of the desserts, the recall includes Cadbury Flake and Dairy Milk Buttons, and people are advised not to eat them. I'll be bringing more your way from that front. So wherever you are, stay tuned. Don't touch the dial. Moving on straight to other stories making the rounds. AI chatbots may soon be more intelligent than us. Right. Artificial intelligence pioneer Geoffrey Hinton quits Google, saying he now regrets his work because the AI that we are, artificial intelligence that we are trying to use now, is going to get to a point they become too wise or knowledgeable than we are, intelligent than we are, and then we will be having lots of problems. So, as I did say earlier on, I was talking about the fact that one thing is that these AIs have not got emotions. Okay, and you know, at times you are trying to see to a situation, and it's not just you get out of the box. Okay, out of the box, and now you relate to people through emotions. Okay, use that faculty to try to reach out and see the help that people need. But with what is playing up now, I don't know what's going to happen. Soldier shoots dead politician he was guarding. As I did say, we're going to bring you more on that front. And Japan to burn upskirting in stronger sex crime laws. The bill outlaws secretly filming someone for sexual exploitation and is set to be passed in June. Why not? Why not? In Isu. And a lot more going to be coming your way from the world front. So wherever you are, preparation for the king's coronation also taking place. But what is it? Palestinian hunger striker dies in Israel prison. Rockets are fired at Israel after Islamic Jihad threatens revenge over the death of a senior figure. This and a lot more going to be coming your way. Let's enjoy this music. And this time round is from who? It is from Pastor Theodora Boachiansa, and it says everlasting to everlasting from the Theodora Gospel. Enjoy it, and I'll be with you. Stay tuned.
We worship you.
This is Starr Radio. This is Starr Radio UK.
That never fades. Abba Father, we worship you. Thy kingdom come. Thy kingdom come. Oh Lord. We call you Emmanuel. Emmanuel. You are the first. You are the first. The Alpha and Omega. And the last. Where we bow down and worship you. And we lift you high. And lift you high.
This is Starr Radio. This is Starr Radio
From SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it, you're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR, S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Welcome back to the program, Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. We shall have Miss Olayomi Koiki joining in pretty soon. So wherever you are, don't tag the dial back. Let's start looking at some of the stories making the rounds whilst we wait for Miss Olayomi Koiki to join in. Now, top most of the story, Tinubu is promising tough decisions, but tough decisions on what? Well, once we have Yomi on, he's going to be telling us more about that. But there's been an ensuing row from the camps of Pichirobi pertaining to a statement that the information is a minister or Communication Minister Lai Mohammed made about Peter Obi, saying that whatever he was doing or calling for people to go to the INEC, to go to the courts and stuff like that, and calling his people or his party members protesting and stuff like that is treasonable. Okay, so let me bring you that one whilst we wait for Olayomi Koike to join in. That Peter Obi is filming blast Lai Mohammed. Now, in a move that will excite many of his supporters, Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, has replied the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, over the recent treason allegation made against him. Recall that Mohammed made allegations of treason against Obi during engagements. During an engagement, which we are going to be talking more about that. But as I did say, we haven't Mr. Olayomi Koike joining in, so we'll go straight to him, and then we'll be bringing you more on that because he's supposed to touch on that story as well. So let me say, Yomi, good morning to you.
Very good morning to you, Mr. Archie. Good morning to Frank. Good morning to all our listeners, and welcome once again to the Starr Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. It is a Tuesday, the 2nd day of May, the new month. As we say, happy new month to all our listeners, and welcome once again as we go through the program of the day, which is the update from Nigeria.
Yes. How are you? How was the family? How was the weekend?
Well, the weekend was beautiful. The family are doing very well. In as much as there is another one-day strike in the school, that literally means that there might be some background noise. It's just that we have the little ones at the background as well, because today is a teacher strike day. That literally means that more teachers are outside as well this morning, not going to school.
Well, listeners, that's what the parents are facing today. But the teachers want some more money. Well, so they decided to embark on the strike. So wherever you are, just bear with us. Once you hear my little producer in the background trying to make sure that Yomi is producing the program the way it's supposed to be, let us do so. But some more good morning to you. The Lord, we worship you always from everlasting to everlasting. Good morning to you. Man of God, you've done well. Thank you very much, Pastor Momo, man of God, for what you continue to do, your support there as well. But let's come back straight to what is happening in Nigeria. First of all, let's touch on what I was looking at first, pertaining to the statement that Lai Mohammed made against Peter Obi when he came. He was outside the country. He made one in the US and made one in the UK as well, saying that statement, behavior of Peter Obi is treasonable. Can you give us a bit of background to that and what the reaction has been from Peter Obi's quarters?
Well, as you do know that Lai Mohammed is the Nigeria Information Minister, so that literally means that Lai Mohammed is there to to give us what the government says in terms of his projection to Nigeria. The Information Minister will be the right person to tell the world the position of Nigeria as well. But this morning, as we do know that Lai Mohammed himself has found his way into what we can call the obedient, and the obedient are one of those movements that we've never seen, in the history as well. I mean, a lot of people never thought Peter Obi would get to where he is, but it seems things change around. Lai Mohammed acted as rascal, flying to London and accused me of treason. This is coming from Peter Obi. Instead of using money to do it, Lai Mohammed used the money to go to Washington D.C. to announce treason to somebody who is in Onitsha, and this is coming from Peter Obi himself. So what do we know? Is censure of Mr. Mohammed follow the minister media blitz across the United States and the United Kingdom, where he actually said that Mr. Obi and his running mate Peter, Dapti Baba Ahmed, who are accusing INEC and the APC and his regime of rigging the presidential election. So it seems that, Lai Mohammed is just telling the world that as much as the election has been completed, that literally means that, we now have Peter Obi and his vice president instigating violence into the country.
Well, that's what they've said. But what do you think about all that is being said there? It is all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, with me, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, and we're bringing you everything that you need to know pertaining to what is happening in Nigeria. So now let's come to one of the substantive issues going on in Nigeria. Come the 28th, it is 27 or 28th, Tinubu, I mean, if everything goes the way it's supposed to go, will be sworn in.
The 29th.
The 29th, okay? The 29th, he will be sworn in, okay, as the president of Nigeria. But, well, he's making some statement and saying that he's promising tough decisions. Tough decisions on what?
Well, remember that, we talked about the 40% Nigerians that are out of job. I mean, going back to our record, on Starr Radio UK, Niger Voices, 40.6% Nigerians are literally out of job. And yesterday, as we do know, Workers' Day was celebrated across the globe, and Nigeria was not left behind. Buhari said something that is expecting Tinubu, to do very good to the workers. I'm not sure whether Buhari himself, did as much, for the workers' right. But what we do know that, according to the headline, Tinubu is promised tougher decisions as the Nigerian Labour Congress demands new retirement age. If you go back to what is happening in France, you know that the pension age was increased, and that has literally been up to yesterday. There's a lot of pressure going on in Paris, where the protests continue. Ahead of his inauguration on May 29th, the president-elect Bola Tinubu has promised to take tougher and hard decision to reposition the country for the benefit of citizens and workers. He also solicited the People's Cooperation and support for his incoming administration in fighting poverty, ignorance, disease, disunity, ethnic, religious hate, which he described as one of the common enemies. So there's a lot in the next 26 days, for the president-elect to deal with. Just as he's going to be dealing with a lot of workers, he's also going to be dealing with 40% of Nigerians that are currently out of job.
Now, so when it comes to the NLC demanding new retirement age, now, is it that they are calling for that, to increase it? Like what the French president is trying to do, and that's brought about a serious backlash, or they're going to make people go on retirement earlier so that the youth, the younger ones, can now also get in it? What are they trying? What are some of the details that you put out?
The other ones are not ready to go, because we do know with evidence that when people are getting to age 60, the NLC is asking for 65 years old, which is different from France, because what the NLC, let's look at some of what is coming out. The Pension Act did not abolish gratitude payment, and we demand its restoration in many public sectors where it has been stopped. The Labour leader asking for. In his remark at the event, the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, that I saw his monthly pay is getting about 946,000 naira every month, and he says that that is not too much. Explained that a total of 1.6 million poor household had also benefited from the bi-monthly payment of 10,000 naira by the regime of President Muhammadu Buhari, from the National Social Investment Program. But what in 2016, President Buhari launched what we call the National Social Investment Program, currently the largest of such in the programs in Africa. Also, the National Social Register of Poor and Vulnerable Nigerians now is at about 32.6 million persons from more than 7 million. Also, the retirement age that the Nigerian Labour Congress is asking for is 65 years old, which is a little bit 2 years below, what the Paris or the French, are asking for. But what we can say is that, there's the trade union progress also, in the Dr. Alex Oti, also to fulfill his election promise, and like they say, Tinubu is expecting as many people to work with him. He announced his approval of a new retirement age of 65 years, of 40 years of service for teachers in the state, which from next week. That is coming from each of the states as well. But from 29th day, which is about 26 days from today, we will then have to see what Tinubu will be presenting, whether he will agree with that. But like I said earlier, so many people, when they get into that retirement age, they actually change their birth certificate so that they can stay a little bit longer, because they're worried that leaving the job, they might not be paid some of their dues as well.
But interestingly, because when people are in the job, even their salaries is not enough to fend for them, and talk less when they are out of jobs, when they are not getting whatever they are getting whilst working. Of course, they will want to do everything possible to extend their tenure or their time in the workforce. As we know, some of our leaders even don't know their real date of birth. So if the workers are doing so, why not? But I'm looking at the 40% people who are out of job. Now, are these people also benefiting from the social investment program that Buhari's regime introduced?
Well, that is the question. I mean, in as much as we have, these amount of Nigerians out of job, they're not literally mean that they will be part of those to be paid the 10,000 naira. Remember that we already have, so many Nigerians that are poor, in terms of each household. The youths that are out there, looking for jobs are not getting the jobs, neither are they getting payment from the government as well. These payments are going to, the lowest within the community, and not every community would also benefit from it. But according to what the Minister of Labor and Employment, Chris Ngige, is saying that, so many people are benefiting from this scheme that Buhari launched thereabout about 2016 after coming into the power in 2015. So whether Tinubu will continue with that, whether he's going to be adding to that, but it would have to deal with so many Nigerians that are looking for jobs, not that they are lazy, but because they have not been investment in Nigeria for 63 years. That is now having a big toll. When the crude oil was about almost $100 plus, we were not using the money. And I did ask the question yesterday, for 63 years, what has Nigeria done with the revenue from the crude oil?
That is the question. What have they done? And that is the problem with most of African leaders. I mean, when good times are happening, we don't try to save, we don't try to do anything as leaders of the nation, and then we wait until everything now nosedive and we try to. But when we talk about 10,000 naira, how far would that go for those of us who don't know, the worth of 10,000 naira per se?
Well, 10,000 naira is still a huge amount of money, to the average Nigeria today. Because if you look at the exchange rate, I'm just trying to bring it back to what it could be in pound sterling. It's about 930 naira to a pound. So if we, take it back to probably about 9 pounds. 9 pounds, well, probably we could say about 10 pounds. That will give us, the 10,000 naira. So because if you multiply just roughly about 11 pounds thereabout, it's still a lot of money compared to some states are still paying 18,000 naira per month. So if you're getting 10,000 naira free from the government, it's a lot of money. Some people work the whole day as laborer and they get about 1,000 naira. That means 10,000 naira today in Nigeria is a lot. It might not buy a lot because of the inflation, but at least it's better than nothing.
Of course, it's better than nothing. But unemployment, well, that is a big risk, and therefore, if any person is coming into leadership, it's one of the things that they need to address. And I hope that is one of the tough decisions that Tinubu, president-elect, let's put it that way, is going to be making. But listeners, it's Starr Radio UK. It is the Tuesday edition of the morning show with me, Mr. Olayomi, in our North London studios. I'm Archie here in the South studios. I say it's good morning to you. It says morning to Mr. Koiki and Mr. Archie and the rest of the team. And we say hello. We hope that you are having a good day and you had a good weekend as well. Okay, let's move on. Now, one of the stories that has been making lots of headway, and we were thinking that during the election we were going to hear something about it, which we have not heard anything about it, but now we've come back to it. That pertains to Nnamdi Kanu again. Now, Northerners are slamming Ohainze and condemning calls for IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu's release. Now, the courts have released him, have acquitted him to be released. Now, the DSS decided to hold him. Now, last week we had a Supreme Court ruling that, well, they can bring they are going to be bringing more charges against him. Just hold him. And then Ohanaeze is saying, leave the man alone. What is wrong with that?
Well, nothing wrong with that. They've now been the President General of Ohanaeze Ndigbo, Emmanuel Iwuanyanwu, had on Sunday yesterday urged Mr. Buhari to release Nnamdi Kanu before the end of his tenure, which is about 26 days from today. But it seems that the leader of the Arewa group said the call was quite very wrong one. Where were they when Kanu was leading IPOB militant to kill innocent people in the southeast with a question mark? Not only in the southeast, so many members of the Arewa community were attacked in Port Harcourt and nobody said anything. Mr. Saidu stated, we have the figures, we even have the photos of those killed in cold blood. He added now that they are clamoring for his release. What guarantee are they giving that the killings will not continue if he's not released? Mr. Saidu noted that the IPOB leader could not be released by presidential order because he's facing a trial in the court. Buhari didn't order the detention of Nnamdi Kanu in the first place. He's been detained by the court where he's facing treason charges. So it will be absurd for Buhari to order his release. But what they are not saying is that Buhari actually kidnapped him and renditioned him from Kenya, which is against the international protocol as well. But Mr. Saidu advised Ohanaeze to visit victims of IPOB attacks in the southeast, which he said were mainly settlers, to find solutions to the problems.
Now, Yomi, this is quite, let me put it below the belt, because I'm looking at it that, look at the atrocity that the what do you call them, the IPOB, what do you call the other one,
the Fulani terrorists.
The terrorists are, unleashing on people in the north and across the country. When they are arrested, they find ways and means to release them. Okay, they find ways and means to again amalgamate them into the community, again saying that, oh, let's forgive them. And so there are lots of them who have actually been integrated into the community. But why are the Northerners that scared about them? Why is the IPOB attacking them? And again, was it Nnamdi Kanu who said they should do that?
Well, Nigeria is facing a lot when it comes to information that is out there. So it depends on which side of the news that you're listening to, and as we've said so many times that if you're not careful, you could get caught up between the fake news and the real news out there. Let's go back to the Boko Haram, the Fulani terrorists that you're talking about. They've become very powerful, and according to the late Dr. Malafi Obadia, told us that there are some sitting governors that are backing them as well. What the ESN have brought is to stop the invasion of the farm within the southeast, which also the same reason why Amotekun was established. We can show the images, not even a slight part of it. The images are received from Ondo State yesterday. Gruesome butcher of Fulani terrorists on people's farm. It's been questioned that where are the same Amotekun that should even protect these people in the farm. But it seems that the Arewa that have been very very adamant and believe that the IPOB has been a terrorist organization because that is what the government calls them. But as we say, these are so many issues on the table, and if the Biafra are now saying that they don't want to be part of Nigeria for all these reasons, then the question is, why not allow a referendum? But some say the referendum is not there on the Constitution, and the question is, when Tinubu gets in May 29, he will be dealing with too many problems that Buhari could not resolve in 8 years, even as a former military dictator.
Wow, listeners, Starr Radio UK. Let me bring you a statement that Samuel Ekpa released yesterday pertaining to what is happening in the country, especially in the southeast. Now, the popular pro-Biafra agitator separatist Simon Ekpa has sent a powerful message to the southeast governors, politicians, cultural, religious, business elites, and Ohanaeze Ndigbo, led by Chief Emmanuel Iwuanyanwu. Okay, and it says in the statement, we wish to remind the old eastern region, that is Biafra elites, that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the indigenous people of Biafra and prince of Igbo land, is still in captivity against the ruling of all courts in Nigeria. Do you people think that only Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is in captivity? Have a rethink. So he is now talking about the fact that their economy and everything about them has somewhere somehow been imprisoned or being controlled by the federal government. But has the
yes, sir. It has always been the resources control, and one of the reasons why we talked about the 5 million people that were killed by the federal government, with the backing of the British government and so many other countries during the 3 years war of the civil war in Nigeria, is because of the resources control. The British invested so much in the in the crude oil, with their companies on the ground, and they were not allowing any breakout of Nigeria. The question then is, we're still having the same issue. We're no longer talking about the Biafra anymore now. Even the Yorubas are saying, as much as, they are now tired of this union put together. How do we resolve all this problem? Obasanjo did a confab, that confab, the document and everything have been stashed somewhere, nobody knows where it is. Jonathan did the same thing, and all this reason is to try and bring, what can sustain Nigeria moving forward. But the marginalization is still there. Even the northern part of Nigeria is being marginalized, because we do know that most of the governors controlling the northern part of Nigeria, they are not true Hausas. These are Fulanis that have actually overthrown the real Hausa. The Fulani was not part of Nigeria agenda in 1960, and it seems now that if care is not taken, we might end up saying what we are saying in Sudan, and that is why there is still room for dialogue before nobody will start talking about having a ceasefire where people are being moved or people are running away for their life. There is still room for that. Nobody wants to see another civil war in Nigeria, but we can say all the time the direction of where Nigeria is going is literally at the verge of breakup.
It's a very sad one there, but listeners, it's Starr Radio UK. It is the Tuesday edition of the morning show. Updates from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi Koikina, North London studios. I'm actually here in the South studios. Let's just touch on one other decision and then we go to all the other stories. Now, pertaining to the Southeast, now they are looking at the resources that come from that part of the world, and the same thing applies to the Igbo and the Yoruba land as well. So they are looking at everything that is coming from that place and looking at development or developing their areas. How do you see the Southeast? Is it well developed as compared to some of the northern parts of the country? I mean, look at it. Tell me about that.
Well, I mean, almost every part of Nigeria is still backwards. And, when I was looking at the SDG, the sustainable, goals of the United Nations, there are 17 of them. As much as you would have expected, at least the Southeast where the crude oil is coming, or even Zamfara where there's gold coming out of it, is still as backwards as Osun State, where we also have multiple amount of gold. But we look at the most important part of the sustainable development goal number 1, no to poverty. But as of today, Nigeria is the 6th largest crude oil producer in the world, but it's also the capital poverty of the world. So when we look at what you were discussing, none of this is happening, even though development seems to be getting to certain areas, but it's still far reached to what it could have been. And when we talk about, number 1, the no to poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education. Nigerians were literally out of school for almost 8 months last year, when, they went on strike. And when you look at the gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy is not there, decent work and economic growth. And that takes me straight to the next headline where, Femi Adesina, I believe, is still going to have a job after, representing Buhari for 8 years. This headline says, it is not the duty of the government to create jobs. Fair enough, it is not the duty of the government to create jobs, but also it is the duty of the government to create the enabling environment. Yeah. The special advisor to the president on the media and publicity, Mr. Femi Adesina, has disclosed that it is not the responsibility of the government to create jobs for its citizens. He actually said this morning in one of the morning show while speaking on the achievement of President Muhammadu Buhari in the last 8 years.
Well, if it is not their duty, have they created the enabling environment to get business going on private sectors? I mean, bringing about business and they're employing people. What are they doing? Well, listeners, it's Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Mr. Olayomi keep bringing updates from Nigeria. Okay, Yomi, now bring us some more of the stories making around, sir.
Well, still quite a lot. We're just going to touch a few of them. Once again, if you've just joined us, this is the Star Radio UK, the morning show, where we take you through what are the headlines, the news coming out of Nigeria. And if you're joining us for the first time, make sure you do so from Monday to Friday, where myself and Archie and Frank, and sometimes some of the other guests from 11 o'clock in the morning. Additional noted that all that the government does is create an enabling environment that we talked about for creating jobs, while the private sector create the job. Responding to question, it was asked on President Buhari's promise to create 3 million jobs annually from 2015. Did you say 3 million was the promise? I wouldn't say he put the figure. We know that they've always changed, so much of what Buhari said. And it is important that we take note of so many things that Tinubu is saying, because by the time Tinubu is getting to certain time, we might start hearing that Tinubu never said so as well. Buhari gave the percentage of the joblessness in the country. He wouldn't recall, but some of us recall that he gave a specific figure for the numbers of jobs we are creating. For all you know, that may have come from nowhere. Regard as it may, it is the job and the duty of the government to create an enabling environment for the jobs in the country. It is not the government itself that creates jobs. So many jobs were lost when Buhari actually closed down Twitter for 6 months. That is a job, because so many Nigerians use this social media to communicate, especially those in the music, the comedy, and those that are now also finding the skit as a way of revenue and likewise as well. He, however, noted, according to Femi Adesina, that Buhari has achieved in all sectors, including oil and gas, infrastructure, legislative matter, and security. That will be for Nigerians to decide. But from us here, we do know that so many Nigerians, diaspora, sent home, according to the World Bank, $168 billion US to support as many Nigerians as well. Part of what makes Nigeria still stand still is motorists stranded as flood takes over Lagos Ibadan Expressway Long Bridge. I mean, I saw the images. We do know that there's a lot of happening. I was following the situation of the wind. I think in one of the states in America, nature is there to destroy things, but it is also part of the government to prepare for the nature itself. So not a very good news, as so many motorists got stuck where there is so much flood that have taken. The Lagos Ibadan Expressway has been going on for more than 2 decades, and it seems the project is still ongoing. Let's take one or two more as well. Tiwa Savage and others to perform at the King Charles III coronation concert. We do know that this time next week we'll probably be reviewing the outcome of the coronation itself, and that will be next week Saturday. There's a lot of rumor out there. We cannot confirm that about the Ike Kirimadu sentence, but what I do know that the sentence is meant to happen on the 5th of May 2023, which is this Friday. So we won't go with the rumors out there. We will wait for the justice system to be served on Ike Kirimadu after he has been found guilty of trying to do what they called kidney for his daughter. And we're going to be following that reportage on Friday, hopefully maybe from the court itself, but we will find out before that period of time. I'm going to take one more from the news, then go straight to the social media, because it seems already before Tinubu becomes the president, his son Seyi Tinubu is already trending, and I'm going to be telling you the reason for that this morning as well. So let's go back again and talk about one or two more of the headlines, and come back again to you in the studio, Mr. Archie. Once again, this is still Star Radio UK. In one of the northern part of Nigeria, one of the blogs was actually comparing NSAS to terrorists. I'm not sure where they found that information, but it seems that that is the kind of society where people that are fighting for the right cause are now being told that they are terrorists, and that is exactly what this particular platform called Hausawa was projecting yesterday on their platform. And the headline, and is already trending this morning, it seems that Seyi Tinubu is trending, and is trending for the negative part of it, at almost number 2. in those news trending from Nigeria, and the headline on that says that Seyi Tinubu paid $11 million for a London property Buhari regime seized from Daizeni, the ally of Kola Aluko. Remember that Kola Aluko, and Daizeni are one of those two criminals that the government is still trying to get Daizeni back from London here, but she's not going anywhere yet. But how Tinubu, Seyi Tinubu, the son of Tinubu, has been able to pay $11 million to this property shows that the corruption within the government is another thing to talk about. The affair could strengthen critics' argument that President Buhari was transferring stolen assets he seized from the cronies of his predecessors to his own cronies. So according to the information, the president-elect Bola Tinubu's son had been linked to a London firm that paid $11 million for a property in London that was previously confiscated from a notorious oil crook. Seyi Tinubu, Mr. Tinubu's 37-year-old son, who has long concerned the outdoor advertising market in Lagos, is the monopoly there in Lagos. It doesn't allow anybody else to take over. Was said to have brought the property in 2017, according to a report by the business outlet Bloomberg. The medium in the story on Tuesday this morning said Seyi has used an offshore shell account Aranda Overseas Corporation to close the purchase, which was facilitated through the Dutch bank. The property is reportedly tucked in an elite neighborhood here in North London. Wow. So that is the headline there, and I'm going to go straight to the social media at 11:38. Simon Ekpa is trending, Oyedepo is trending, Onitsha is trending. Not too sure why, so let's go straight to Onitsha. Onitsha is meant to be the hub of the market for the Igbos and Nigeria, but as usual, because of the lack of infrastructure, it has become a very, very backwards, just as so many other states in the country. And I can hear, I believe this is where Peter Obi was speaking about the what Lai Mohammed was saying. Maybe we should just take a bit of what he was saying from what he actually said before we come back again to you in the studio. Once again, it is still Star Radio UK. So let's get the audio out, where Peter Obi was speaking this morning.
Rascality. Height of rascality. That it was even announced in Washington. I committed a treasonable offense. And I'm in Onitsha. And my minister went to
now I understand why Onitsha is trending. Peter Obi is actually saying, I am in Onitsha, while Lai Mohammed is traveling globe trotting and saying he's committing treason. Let's hear a little bit more, and then we take the rest of the social media news this morning.
Washington. This is what I'm talking about. We're not talking about wasting governance here. People don't want to understand. The amount it costs Nigeria for him to go and announce that in Washington can fix, I can tell you, I've been in government, can build a block of 6 classrooms in a primary school. I'm sure if you go to his village, there's so many places where children don't even have desks.
Okay, again, that goes back to the SDG goal, which is number 4, quality education. So Peter Obi is actually saying that the amount of Lai Mohammed, Lai Mohammed have used, to bring this fake news out, it will have built a block. And definitely, I remember one of the Yoruba Nation rally that went to Ilorin. We saw this, the environment where Lai Mohammed actually lived, and definitely he could have done a little bit better. But that is Nigeria politicians. They're better off coming outside to speak to the media outside, not to media like us, because definitely they know that they'll be asked a lot of questions that they might not be able to answer. So let's look at Nigeria. David Odoye, one of the most investigative journalists, has been on the Tinubu's case, is coming up with another headline here. Their father is a non-drug kingpin with heroin trafficking asset that was taken on record, who maintained close ties to active figures in the West African cocaine smuggle. This is what some person in Nigeria want to swear in as president. So he's actually referring to the incoming president-elect. Likewise, Adetutu Balogun, however long the night is done with break, for the Lord Almighty has planned it, who can frustrate it? And his hand is stretched out, who shall turn it back? Nothing can stop God's plan for Nigeria. And then also Simon Ekpa, please tell Daily Post Nigeria that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was not rearrested in Kenya. He was kidnapped, rendition to Nigeria by the Nigerian state, which is an international crime, and the country that kidnaps someone, rendition the person as not legitimate. And the headline was that May 29 inauguration, Ekpa backs Iwanyanwu calls for Nnamdi Kanu's release. So it seems Simon Ekpa is responding back to as well. We've seen a lot of Nigerians that are from the southeast and the Yorubas complaining that they've been left behind in Sudan. And that is quite worrisome for so many people. And according to Critics News, Britain won't focus on their country, but helping terrorists to Islamize Nigeria. It seems, that is coming out. Bloomberg is trending this morning. A firm belonging to son of Nigerian president-elect brought an $11 million mansion from the predecessor government. So I don't know how that happened, but there's nothing that can happen in Nigeria. I'm going to take one from Omoyele Sowore, and it seems that the house is already on the social media as well. Maybe we might find time to visit that beautiful house that is worth $11 million. This is Omoyele Sowore. Welcome to the Republic of Organized Crime. Under Muhammadu Buhari, official Bola Tinubu, Nigeria will soon be listed on the sale of Alibaba. Hashtag revolution now. A farm belonging to the son of Nigerian president-elect was brought at $11 million here in London. I would love to visit that house if I can get the full address. I'm going to come back again to you, Mr. Archie, in the studio.
Well, it's interesting. When it comes to Africa, oh my goodness. You ask yourself the question, the statement that Peter Obi was making pertaining to what Lai Mohammed has done with that money going out all the way just to, he could have had a press conference in Nigeria, and if he wants other networks to be in, he could have done that. But well, he's not going to be doing that. But it's interesting. It's interesting. The problem is we go to vote for all these people once again, and I don't know why we continue to do so. But Yomi, a quick one. Now, when it comes to the IPOP or the Southeast, the sit at home, is it still going on?
Oh yes, it's still going on every Monday. There was a sit at home here yesterday in the southeast part of the country, and they're already planning a 2 weeks total lockdown. Coinciding with the May 29th that is coming up. When Tinubu will be taking over from Buhari. Okay,
now I'm looking at it that if we take Monday out, say Monday sit at home, and Saturday we go back, then it's like +1 -1. So the impact, maybe initially, because people were trying to adjust themselves to the system, might have had a bit of impact. But for now, I can tell you that the economy might be just working the way it's supposed to work perfectly. So that is why maybe it's not having an impact at all.
Sorry, can you repeat that? I lost that.
Yeah, I was saying that now +1 -1. I'm looking at Monday, which is the sit at home. Now they said, okay, now because Monday is sit at home, Saturday we all have to now go to work and do so. It will still be, call it the 5 days, the 5 working days that people have been using. Okay, so I don't see it's impacting the economy of the area or the region badly as initially was done when they started the sit at home, where there wasn't any Saturday day for people to go about their duties. What do you think?
Well, if you look at Monday around the world is like a working day, and if the Monday is completely grounded, in a part of the country, where they sit at home continue, definitely, is having a big impact. As much as more businesses happen on Saturday, but as we do know, Monday is an economy day for, as normally it should be. But it seems that the situation between the federal government and the Biafra, the continuity of holding Nnamdi Kanu. Maybe if Nnamdi Kanu is released, maybe they might lift the sit at home on Monday. But for now, the sit at home is still a continuity in the Biafra land.
Well, okay, listeners, we would like to know how you guys in the Southeast are feeling pertaining to this sit at home and everything that is going on. Has it changed your way of living, or has it impacted your business negatively? Whatever it is, let us know. Bishop Adeshina says, my regards to Starr Radio UK. Bishop, regards to you as well. Now, Yoruba Nation, what have been the latest update? What have been some of the events that have been planned so far? Things seem to be a bit like stagnant, let me put it that way.
Well, it has not been stagnant. It has been just the same way it started. More Nigerians, more Yoruba people do not even understand who they are. And if you don't know who you are, that means, you'll be backwards. Just as we started with a lot of campaign and awareness, especially through every medium opportunity. Remember that, the Nigerian government has been blocking a lot of the messaging filtering through, especially by not allowing a proper radio to be set up. That literally means that, the conversation is more online. But we've seen, in the last couple of weeks, meetings was held in Agege, where, the presentation of what we can call the sample of what would be the note to be used as well was displayed, and people were being educated. There's also conversation going on about the kind of money that can be used as well. Also, meeting was held in Kogi State. So the ground meeting is still going on while the conversation is going on here, even in as much as a lot of people believe that there's been a lot of distraction, especially, after, the fake declaration took place, on the 20th of November last year, which eventually more people are understanding that a nation is not your local government. It is a real business, and it's not just something that you can see. I was listening to one of the media at home, and the media, Amaluka Great TV was saying that ever since, these women that came into the conversation, we've never seen her even holding the Yoruba Nation flag, and that even is something to look into. I mean, somebody that says she has declared country have not even presented herself with the flag waving or in a picture. That literally means that maybe for one reason or the other, she's just trying to be very careful so that when everything goes faded, she will probably be able to deny that she ever even said anything of such.
What was that rumor going about saying that she's been bribed or something of the sort that happened?
Well, it's not a rumor. There's a lot of evidence out there that she's now working, for Bola Tinubu, so that by the time May 29, when Bola Tinubu becomes the president, then she'll probably fade away. There's a little bit of concern that last year the Yoruba people were literally going to stop, the election, and that would have started when the main rally will have kicked in just around October or up to about December. But because she was already getting a lot of information, they were also doing a lot to bring the movement a little bit slower than what we expected. But now that they're not hearing anything anymore from Professor and those that are leading, then they're becoming very, very angry. And some of those that are following her continue to put the blame on Professor Banji Akintoye and Igboho for not making the movement to move further. Rather, they're not pointing finger on somebody that not up to today, no one knows where she lives. Nobody have had any sit down on one-on-one meeting with her. And like they say, she has not even shown a flag of Yoruba Nation that she's talking about.
Interesting. Now, as it says, Yoruba Nation, no going back, Mr. Archie. Okay, I hear you. Mr. Nation, I say Yoruba Nation is stronger than before. We are quiet about our work and processing. Just last month, Yoruba Nation currency was introduced on international market using blockchain crypto network. Okay, so Mr. Nation, I want us to know that there is work going on, though we don't see it. It's like the deep seas. You go to the deep seas, you think that there is nothing happening. Go underneath the sea and you see the strong current. It will pull you or wash you away. All right then, let's start ready. UK. Yomi, yes, before we go.
Well, I'll leave in the hands of Archie for the rest of the program. We'll be back again tomorrow, and again tomorrow will be the Niger Voices. But for now, have a very great afternoon and good morning to those of you that are watching us from different parts of the globe. And welcome to Starr Radio UK once again. Bye for now.
Bye. Well, listeners, that has been Mr. Olayomi Koiki bringing you updates from Nigeria. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Bishop Adesina continues to say more partners are now operating online banks using Ruba account. Wow, interesting. Good development there. Why not? All right then. Let's enjoy this song from Jeanette. It's a Orila Demi. Yes, it's been one of my favorite tunes from Yoruba land. So enjoy it, and I'll be with you in a moment. Stay tuned.
Tell y'all.
Ni mo gbọ́ èmi fòmìnira orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá.
worldwide online 24/7.
All around the world.
Ọba aládé ni wá látòde ọ̀run. Adé orí òkè kì í ṣẹgbẹ́ wọn.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Má kó bẹ̀rẹ̀ fún kọ̀lọ̀kọ̀lọ̀. Ọmọ ojú wa dìde, ó sì gbọ́ ẹ̀tọ́ bàbá rẹ̀. Èmi ọ̀pọ̀ lóko aráyé. Èmi ò sọ nípa orílẹ̀-èdè mi. Ohun tí mo fẹ́ ni mo fẹ́ o. Èmi fòmìnira orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá. Mi ò pọ̀ lóko aráyé. Èmi ò sọ nípa orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá. Ohun tí mo fẹ́ ni mo fẹ́ o.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá. Ìlú tán Ọlọ́run fẹ́ lọ́lọ́run yọ.
You are listening to Star Radio Morning Show.
Èyí tó yàn ló tún ṣe lọ́kàn. Bàbá fẹ́ wá, ó tún yàn wá. Wọ́n ṣe wá lọ́kàn, ó tún wá fà lọ́kàn ní sí. Èmi ọ̀pọ̀ lọ́kọ̀ aráyé. Èmi ò sọ nípa orílẹ̀-èdè mi. Ohun tí mo fẹ́ ni mo fẹ́ o. Èmi fòmìnira orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá. Mi ò pọ̀ lọ́kọ̀
You are listening to Star Radio
Èmi ò sọ
Morning
nípa orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá. Ohun tí mo fẹ́ ni mo fẹ́ o. Èmi fòmìnira orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business. The show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Yo, what's up, people? This is a boy Raskin Bobo One. Tune in every day, every night at the Star Radio UK with the big man them Archie. When I say Orta, you say fire.
Welcome back to the program Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, bringing the time now to exactly 5 minutes to the top of the hour. And we're now going to be looking at some of the other stories making the rounds. But I hope that you enjoyed that tune from Jeanette Orilede-Me. I hope that you enjoyed the tune, My Nation. Well, we'll be telling you more as things unfold when it comes to Nigeria. But this afternoon, exactly at 1:30, we'll be having BB Clement on BB Means Business. So make a date with her. The program comes your way every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. Okay, UK time 1:30 to 2:30. All right. Yeah. So BST 13:30 to 14:30. All right. Yes, and Nigeria time for the BSE the same one now, or GMT +1 at the moment. Okay. I hope that I've not confused you, but you know what? If you don't want to miss out in any of the programs that Star Radio brings you or brings our way each day, all that you have to do is subscribe to our pages if you are if you're on YouTube, or those of you on Facebook and all the others. And every time we are on, it gives you the prompting, so you don't miss our notifications, so you don't miss anything on that front. All right then. So Star Radio UK. Now let's move on to look at some of the other stories. But before then, let me announce the lines open: 0208 133 2257 or 58 0208 133 2257 or 58. Now, if you happen to be in the US, Canada, or the Caribbean area, is 001-718-303-2737 001-718-303-2737. And again, you can text or WhatsApp at 07539661744 07539661744. Twitter handle is Starr Radio UK, and email address is info@starradiouk.com. All right then. Okie dokie do. Now let's crack on. Let's see some of the other stories making the rounds this morning. Okay, so moving on straight to a case on the African continent, this around in Uganda, where a security officer is said to have shot. Now, the bodyguard is said to have shot the minister that he was guarding. The bodyguard shot and killed a government minister in Uganda early Tuesday in an apparent private dispute, according to the army and local media. The attacker, who has not been publicly identified, then turned the gun on himself, according to state broadcaster UBC and others. The victim, Charles Angola, served in the government of President Yoweri Museveni as the junior minister in charge of labor. He was a retired army colonel. Now, army spokesman Brigadier Felix Kulayiji said in a short statement that an unfortunate incident led to the killing of Angola. We shall inform the public the details as we jointly investigate the matter, Kulayiji said on Twitter. The shooting took place inside Angola's home in a suburb of the Uganda's capital, Kampala. The police detectives are now at the scene. The motive was not immediately clear, but the local press said there had been an apparent dispute over the guard's wages. Now, witnesses claim that the soldier was yelling that he had not been paid for a long time despite working for a minister. The online newspaper Now reported the incident is likely to create shockwaves in a country where other high-profile officials have been killed in gun attacks over the years. In 2021, a former army chief in Uganda was wounded and his daughter killed when gunmen shot at their vehicle in Kampala. That's a sad one there. That is a sad one there. But we're going to be telling you more on that front. But let me bring you a bit of details from that same story there. Now, Colonel Angola was a senior government official and had previously served as Deputy Minister for Defense. The Speaker of Uganda's Parliament confirmed Colonel Angola's death in a short statement while presiding over the morning session. This morning, I received sad news that Honorable Angola has been shot by his bodyguard and after shot himself. May his soul rest in peace. That was God's plan. We can't change anything. Anita among told MPs on Tuesday. It's God's plan that they shoot him dead. All right then. Okay, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. Now, why was the soldier not being paid? That is the question. Why was it not being paid for the work that he's doing? Okay, don't worry. I've lined out a nice tune that I'm going to bring your way once we finish with the updates from Africa. Japan and Ghana have aligned in the pursuit of reforms at the UN Security Council is one of the stories making the rounds there. And the story says, Now, the Japanese Prime Minister Kishida Fumio arrived in Ghana on Monday on the second leg of an African tour. Now, Fumio met Ghanaian President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo and both vowed to pursue reforms at the UN Security Council. Japan and Ghana are serving as non-permanent members of the Security Council. The Ghanaian president added that the current Security Council permanent members does not reflect the current reality, adding that reform must be promoted. Now, both heads of state also agreed to closely coordinate on the issues of Sudan, where military clashes continue for a third week. The Japanese Prime Minister said he hopes his latest visit will boost cooperation between the two countries across a range of fields such as the economy, development, and human resources. Yes, we hope that that happens. Okay, so coming away from Starr Radio UK. Now, in some other stories developing from Kenya as well, the Kenyan commander of the East African Community Regional Force deployed to halt the advance of an armed group in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo has resigned. In his resignation letter, Major General Jeff Nyaga said he was leaving because of concerns for his safety after consistent harassment by forces he described as mercenaries. He also spoke about the impact of well-orchestrated and financed negative media campaigns against him personally, but also making false accusations about the regional forces' allegedly complacency in its handling of the M23 militias. Now, the group took up in 2021, conquering large swaths of the territory in the DRC North Kivu province. Now, Kinshasa accuses neighboring Rwanda of supporting the M23, a claim corroborated by the United Nations expert and Western countries, although Kigali denies it. Now, these are 1,000 of soldiers, including from Kenya, Uganda, Burundi, and South Sudan, in the East African Peacekeeping Force. They are tasked with trying to calm deadly tensions fueled by armed groups in the region, where the embattled population is impatient for effective peace. The Eastern DRC has been plagued by violence from multiple armed groups for nearly 30 years. The East African community has been attempting to bring about peace in the province. But it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, still on those stories there making the rounds. Now, when Khartoum residents Ayman Abubakar and his uncle Hossam stopped answering their phones, their family turned to Facebook. Their user sent a user sent them a photo of a car riddled with bullets with two bodies inside. On the picture, the license plate number was visible and matched of the car the men had taken to go buy water. Under crossfire on April 16, one of their relatives said. Now, the day before, fighting had broken out between the two generals in power in Sudan since their coup in 2021. The family, surprised in the middle of the Ramadan weekend, had not particularly stocked up on food or water. That's why says their relatives who refused to give his name. Ayman and Hossam Abu Aki took the risk of going out under artillery fire and air raids. In the chaos of the fighting in Khartoum, a city of more than 5 million inhabitants, where running water and electricity have almost disappeared, social networks are now a precious link for the inhabitants who have been barricaded in their homes because of what is happening. But what do you think? What do you think? It's a sad scene. But the question is, or as we say, when two elephants fight, who suffers? Is the grass that suffers. But it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. Let's move on to some other story as well. A final one not from this front, and then we'll move on to Ghana to look at some of the other stories making the round. Now, Senegalese main opposition leader Ousmane Sonko has called for national civil disobedience against judiciary and further rejected any dialogue against President Macky Sall. Now, Sonko, on the other hand, denounced claims that he was undermining the justice system. Sonko last month had claimed his life was in danger and that he had evidence showing he was to be assassinated on March 16 on his way to court to face charges of rape allegations. Now, another court on 30th March gave opposition politician Osman Sonko a 2-month suspended prison sentence for defaming a minister. The opponent, who came third in the presidential election in 2019, and his supporters claim that the judiciary is being used by the government to eliminate him politically and clear the way for the incumbent Macky Sall. Now, Sonko and his supporters accuse the government of using the justice system to prevent him from running for president in February 2024. The presidential party accuses Mr. Sonko of wanting to paralyze the country and using the street to escape justice. Now, several human rights organizations have expressed concerns about the climate of tension in the country, restrictions on freedom of assembly and expressions, and have called on President Sall to abandon his bid for a third term, as he has left it unclear whether he will run in 2024 or not. But do you think it is a wise thing to do? Will he or wouldn't he? Well, it's your guess as mine as well. Your guess is as good as mine, but we'll be following it very, very closely, and we'll see what is happening on that front. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, final story from this particular platform. Autopsies of doomsday cult victims begin in Kenya. Now, authorities in Kenya have started performing autopsies on 100 bodies of members of a religious cult who starved themselves to death. The investigators exhumed the bodies of 10 children on Monday and found signs of starvation and in some cases asphyxiation. The Christian-based cult was founded by Paul Mackenzie Ntenge, a former taxi driver who has been in police custody since April 14. Now, reports suggest that the cult leader is refusing food and water. According to the Kenyan Red Cross, more than 300 people have been reported missing. On Sunday, Kenyan President William Ruto said he would appoint a judicial commission of inquiry this week to investigate the tragedy. A sad one. A sad one. When it comes to fate, oh my goodness, it's quite interesting. But what do you think about all that is happening? This all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. All right then, let's take a break and then we come back to Ghana, where the special prosecutor is saying that abuse of entrusted power for private gain is the currency. Currency for what? Well, more going to be coming your way. Stay tuned and don't touch the dial.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
back to the program. It is Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. The morning show that comes to you every weekday from 10 o'clock to 1 p.m. depending on which other programs that are there. But tomorrow we'll be taking you to the House of Parliament for the PMQ. Well, come Thursday, election day, what are we going to be seeing? Friday morning is Labour going to be sweeping the polls again with the local elections. Well. Who knows? We're going to be telling you more about that tomorrow and Thursday morning as well. But wherever you are, it is Star Radio UK. Let's now move on to some other stories making the rounds in Ghana. The abuse of entrusted power for private gain is the currency. Special prosecutor on state capture, corruption, and fraud. And that's why I'm asking the question: will he or has he got the teeth to actually bite? The Special Prosecutor Kisei Japan says the issues of state capture, corruption, and fraud are ingrained in our society, much like rituals. The issues, which he described as collective pandemic in our part of the world, he said, are inhibiting the nation's progress and dissipating the country's resources. In Ghana, meritorious or otherwise rightfully deserving standards for the allocation of opportunities and resources are eluding us. The abuse of entrusted power for private gain is the currency. Now, misrepresenting of events and facts for pecuniary gain has never been this attractive, he bemoaned. He added that, then again, there appears to be a sprint of the ordinates control of state institutions and the public decisions making process. Now, state institutions are being neutralized as appendages of individuals, and existing laws and the legal system are being weakened for private gain. The Special Prosecutor was speaking at the ICC Fraudnet 37th International Conference and meeting held in Accra on Friday, April 28, where he was the guest speaker. The conference was under the theme State Capture and Corruption. According to him, the tri-malady is further exacerbated by capital flights and the stashing of ill-gotten wealth in foreign countries. To further sink ourselves in our ill progress, we are flighting away and secreting our illicitly gobbed up bounties in other jurisdictions to avoid detection and to evade recovery. And it seems to me that no one can put an actual price tag on the attendant social and economic costs of state capture, corruption, and fraud, he said. He noted that while a lot of effort is being made to counter the phenomenon, there is still so much room for improvement. The issues of state capture, in his remarks, he said the issues of state capture, corruption, and fraud are a collective pandemic in our part of the world. This trial malady has every intention of staying with us unless we act. In their various manifestations, they inhibit our progress and dissipate our resources. We experience their debilitating effects all around us in the full force, and they are ingrained in our society, society much like rituals in Ghana. Meritorious or otherwise rightfully deserving standards for the allocation of opportunities and resources are eluding us. The abuse of entrusted power for private gain is the currency. Misrepresentation of events and facts for pecuniary gain has never been this attractive. Then again, there appears to be a sprint for the inordinate control of state institutions, and the public decision must make him process. State institutions are being neutralized as appendages of individuals and existing laws, and the legal system are being weakened for private gain. Weakened for private gain. So you ask yourself the question again: our political elites there for us or for their own, themselves, or as somebody would say, I myself am a dog. Is that why they are there? Well. It is Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, in another related case, the former special prosecutor in the name of Martin Amidu has said that Nana Akufo-Addo's modus operandi in the exercise of constitutional powers vested in him to choose critical and sensitive constitutional officers for the actualization of the separation of powers doctrine has always been to be guided by his personal political self-interest as distinct from the sovereign national interest of the citizens of Ghana. The choice of a replacement Chief Justice for Mr. Justice Kwesi Eni Yabua, who retires as Chief Justice on the 24th of May, has all the hallmarks of the political self-interest dictated by Nana Addo's long game that he planned years before assuming the presidency on the 7th of January 2017. The choice of Mrs. Justice Gertrude Araba Esaba Tokono, ne G.A.E. Saki, enrolled on the roll of lawyers in Ghana on October 2, 1987, and was purposeful and in line with Nana Akufo-Addo's long game. It is a third of the last 3 games he has to play in the hopes that nature will support them machination to impose his will on the letter as distinct from the spirit of the 1992 Constitution at the 2024 general elections. Mrs. Justice Gertrude Tokono meets the statutory qualification to be nominated as Chief Justice, even if she is not the most senior or erudite by output of celebrated judgments of the Supreme Court. But she also meets the extrajudicial requirement that makes Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo to have the confidence that she is a suitable choice for actualizing his political long game. She is supposed to be the niece of the late Major retired Sam Akwa, who was gruesomely murdered and martyred in 1982 during the PNDC regime. She hails from Winneba but was born and brought up in Cape Coast, where most people from the central region in her parents' peer group called home in the past. Her parents were teachers, with her father Abraham Kofi Saki rising to become a director of education. Professor Mills saw her as his daughter from Cape Coast by virtue of her parents and elevated her to the Court of Appeal in October 2012. Now, after her appointment to the High Court by John Ejekum Kufuor in May 2004, the minority in Parliament will therefore be hard put not to approve her nomination when it's tabled in Parliament on or after the 2nd of May. That's today, following the Rubber Stamp Council of State endorsement. The nomination of a person from the central region for the position of Chief Justice also creates a basis to urge the delegates to the new Patriotic Party presidential election primaries on the 4th of November not to cast their votes for the feared not dependable Kennedy Japan from the same region. Nana Dankwa calculating mentality is to eliminate a feared and threatening contender from the central region with a high potential of winning the presidential primaries election. The permutation also take care of presidential contenders from the western region who are lumped together with the central region and perceived as frontiers. That leaves the field for about 4 presidential contenders hailing from the Ashanti region to split their votes and to beef up the chances of Nana Addo preferred choice Vice President Dr. Mahmudu Bawumia from the generic north. Nana Akufo-Addo long game was born out of an agenda he conceived after his narrow defeat at the 2008 presidential election with Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia as his running mate, and the lack of a long game by Mr. J.A. Kufuor to have ensured a victorious outcome at all costs. Never again must that happen under Nana Addo Dankwa's watch as president of Ghana. Mr. J.A. Kufuor exhibited better traits of a constitutionalist and democrat during his tenure as president. Nana Akufo-Addo is, on the other hand, by any description, an autocrat who works with the letter of the constitution while subverting its spirit and core structural principles of doctrines. He believes in the politics of Africa being the politics of ethnic arithmetic, as Mr. Kofi Dra taught a second-year political science student who had to read the compulsory subject of contemporary African political system. Well, it goes on. It's a lengthy right there, which I will not be able to bring you all, but I'm trying to bring you the tail end. Now, in the affairs of humanity, nature helps those who help themselves. This is no different from the saying that God helps those who help themselves. The 1992 Constitution guarantees Ghanaians all the rights and freedoms under it, not excluding those not specifically mentioned, which are considered to be inherent in a democracy and intended to secure the freedom and dignity of a man. There are no fundamental rights and freedoms more important than free and fair political party primaries for intra-party contestants and the national parliamentary and presidential elections. Citizens can only assure the enjoyment of these fundamental rights and freedom when they are vigilant and please long games intended to subvert the right and freedom of the electorate at both political and internal political party and national election. This is the only way to defend the 1992 Constitution and put Ghana first. That is a lengthy right from the former special prosecutor in the name of Martin Amidu, which he penned. All right then. So this all coming away from Starr Radio UK, 12:24 the time. Let me bring you one other story, and then we will be moving a couple of them. Now, when it comes to the National Cathedral, I've had some stories where people are saying that it is better to convert the National Cathedral to a national hospital. That's what the TUC are saying. They think that, well, turn the National Cathedral to a national hospital. Because I'm looking at a picture of the site and looking at buildings that were collapsed or destroyed, and to give way for the erection of this national cathedral. But the General Secretary of the Trade Unions Congress, Dr. Anthony Yaoba, has called on the government to cut expenditure on all non-essential government spending. According to the TUC, the current economic downturn can be improved should the government divert funds from non-essential spending towards more productive ventures to generate employment and revenue. Now, speaking on May Day, that was yesterday, celebration parade at Bolgatanga, the TUC General Secretary urged the government to hold spending on non-essential like the National Cathedral. He suggested that it will serve the countries better if the project was converted from a cathedral to a national hospital instead. Now, we have to change the situation ourselves as Ghanaians. We believe strongly that the government can lead us out of this crisis, and the government can do so by cutting expenditure on non-essential, including the need to stop spending our hard-earned revenue on a national cathedral. Well, the people are hungry. People are desperate. What do? You build a very nice temple so that we can all come in and pray to God to intercede so that God comes to our aid, or we use that money to bring about some businesses, and some way, somehow, that will bring about an increment in proceeds into the state coffers. What do you think? Maybe, as the president did say, it's going to be a very lovely tourist attraction. So who knows? And that might be yielding lots of funds for the country. But it was supposed to have been built or financed by private ventures, not government. So how come? Is it that because they saw that the private entities were pulling their legs or dragging their legs, and were thinking that, look, this is not something that we think at the end of the day will give us the way or the ticket to heaven? What do you think? Well. It is all coming away from Starr Radio UK. Now, I find a story from Ghana before I bring you some music, and then we come to some other stories making the rounds in other parts of the world. Now, someone on Kujachua Blakwa, member of parliament for North Tongo, has made a new revelation about the National Cathedral project after a trip to the United States of America. A lawmaker who has been a serial critic of the project, alleging financial misappropriation and corporate governance breaches by the government, has made new disclosures as relates to the incorporation of the project in the United States. His latest post of May 2, 2023 made a number of serious disclosures about the project, 5 of which are produced as I read them. A cathedral, the A says cathedral project has been registered in Washington D.C. under a different name. Why has it been registered in Washington D.C.? What has it got to do with that? 2. No member of clergyman on Ghana Board of Trustees have been listed in the U.S. document. So is it a private entity for a private individual? Now, address to U.S. registration documents is fraudulent. And Ablakwa met with American consultant who was paid $6 million over the project to do what? Is it a drawing? The final one is identity of the 2 unknown men in the U.S. incorporation documents that has been revealed as well. So Ablakwa revealed in a write-up that the project registered in the U.S. state of Washington, D.C. under the name National Cathedral of Ghana and Bible Museum Foundation Incorporated. Now, articles of incorporation they've secured from the District of Columbia Government Department of Consumer and Regulatory Affairs Corporation of the Corporation Division confirmed that a non-profit corporation has been registered known as the National Cathedral of Ghana and Bible Museum Foundation Incorporated. Articles in incorporation duly attached. The National Cathedral of Ghana and the Bible Museum Foundation Incorporated received its certification or certificate of incorporation with its effective date being May 3, 2021, and signed by Joseph G. Gazimov, Superintendent of Corporations Division. And now it is worthy of note that the names National Cathedral of Ghana and Museum Foundation Incorporated is unmistakably different from what was incorporated in Ghana some 2 years prior, specifically on the 18th of July 2019 as the National Cathedral of Ghana. Now, Blackwell revealed that even though there are 3 members listed as trustees in the U.S. documentation, only one of them contained in counterpart registration papers of the National Cathedral in Ghana. Now, curiously, we have also discovered that none of the prominent ministers of the gospel who serve as trustees on the National Cathedral of Ghana feature in the article of corporation and lists of governors are submitted to U.S. authorities. The names of the governors authorized persons as contained in the 2-year report for domestic and foreign filing entity are Dr. Paul Opoku Mensah, Eric Ochiridako, and Dr. Vernon Dako. Now, in U.S. corporate terms, governor typically refers to a member of the board of directors. When it comes to the address, even more shocking, they discussed that the address provided on both the National Cathedral of Ghana website and to U.S. authorities as the official address of the National Cathedral of Ghana and the Bible Museum Foundation Incorporated is absolutely fraudulent. The advertised address is National Cathedral of Ghana and Bible Museum Foundation Incorporated, 1090 Vermont Avenue, New Washington, D.C. 20005. A personal visit to this address in Washington, D.C. and through verification from managers of the property indicate that the National Cathedral of Ghana and Bible Museum Foundation Incorporated has never been a tenant at that address. That is how I'll rest my case there. But what do you think about all that is happening? But two of the names of the unknown men in the U.S. incorporation checks conducted indicate that Mr. Eric Archie Dakun was appointed to the board of Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, GIF, by President Kufuor and sworn in by Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta in October 12, 2021, a few months after he was listed as one of the three governors of the National Cathedral of Ghana and Bible Museum Foundation. Mr. Eric Archie Dakun was also one of Honorable Kennedy Ejepon's lawyers in the recent case against Anas. Dr. Vernon Dakun, on the other hand, is said to be the founder and CEO of Equipex and a small business exporter, and it's not clear what his usefulness will be to a National Cathedral project. Listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. We're going to take a break and we're going to be looking at some of the stories making the rounds in other parts of the world. But stay tuned, enjoy this song. It's one of Ghana's oldies, and I hope that those of you back in the day remember it. And it says, "Lie, lie, fight." Enjoy it.
It was one night at the pass for some corner. People they fight inside some room corner. Me I think it be proper fight. At last it be la life fight. Brother, I hear the woman say, "You la life man." Then the man to say, "You la life woman." Then me too I say, so everybody they la life. For the story, me I know they la life.
This is Starr Radio. This is Starr Radio UK.
I try go there, say I they go separate them. They all tell me, yo, this no be your palaba. If a man and woman fight, they call them a life fight. Rather, I hear the woman say, "You la life man." Then the man to say, "You la life woman." Then me too I say, so everybody they la lie. What a story. Me, I know
this is Starr Radio UK.
So my friend, anytime you they walk up and you hear say two people they fight for some corner, don't try to separate them because if you la life fight, rather I hear the woman say, "You la life man." Then the man to say, "You la life woman." Then me too I say, so everybody they la lie. Yeah, what a story. Me, I know they la lie.
Okay, so that is the Lie Fight song from Fred Tete and his Continentals. Fretete and his Continentals, one of the oldies. Back in the day, when we were going to GBC, the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, to do programs and stuff like that, we will hear them. Some of the DJs will play some of the old tunes, and then I really listened to that, and I really liked some of the stories that was behind the songs that have been created. And it's one of those. You look at the political system in our part of the world, and what our leaders are doing, you cannot hold them accountable. They come, they take control, and they just siphon everything in there. They tell you, take it easy, tomorrow is going to be good. When is tomorrow going to come? Well. It is Starr Radio UK. 12:37 the time. Now this afternoon, as I did announce, exactly at 1:30, we'll be having BB Clement on BB Means Business. It's a program that comes your way every Tuesday from 1:30 to 2:30, and it's one that is geared or tailored measured to help you when it comes to your business, how to make more income from whatever thing that you have. It could be creative art, it could be business, whatever it is. So do listen to BB Clement this and every Tuesday at 1:30. Also, there's a repeat of that program at 6 p.m. that is 18 hours on Thursday evenings. Make sure you join in on those ones as well. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. This afternoon there's going to be lots of music, and last night, those of you who joined the program enjoyed that lovely tune that was coming your way all the way from the studios of Starr Radio UK, and that pertaining to the Conscious Reggae Time with Dave West, and I hope that you enjoyed that. Okay, now let's move on. Here in the UK, murder-accused nurse wanted to work with children. But what happened there is the question that is being asked. Now, it says that a nurse accused of murdering 7 babies and attempting to kill 10 others at a hospital neonatal unit said she always wanted to work with children. Now, listen, let me. Is standing trial at Manchester Crown Court, facing 22 charges relating to fatal and near-fatal incidents at the Countess of Chester Hospital in 2015 and 2016. She broke down in tears when recalling being arrested for the first time. The 33-year-old, originally from Hereford, denied all the charges. The prosecution alleges Miss Ledby used various means to target the infants, including injecting them with air and poisoning them with insulin. Now, flanked by 2 dock officers in the witness box, Miss Ledby responded to initial questions from her defense barrister Ben Meyers, KC. Now, family members of the alleged victims were sitting in the public gallery. The prosecution spent 6 months outlining its case. Now, the jury of 4 men and 8 women are hearing their defense. Do you think she will be found not guilty? Now, Miss Lesby told the court she had been the first member of her family to go to university. She said she had chosen her qualification in order to become a nurse. Ms. Ledby added that during the period when the offences were alleged to have taken place, she had cared for hundreds of babies. So it wasn't that she was planning to do anything of the sort. She denied harming any of them and said the allegations against her were sickening. I just couldn't believe it, she told the court. It was devastating. Now, Ms. Ledby said that after she first became aware of the allegations in September 2016, she went to her GP. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating. She said, I was started on some antidepressant, which I remain on now. Now, Ms. Ledby said that over the last few years, there had been times when I didn't want to live. She said her job was her life, adding that she can't put into words the impact the accusations have had on her. Now, Ms. Ledby broke down in tears as she recalled the first time she was awoken at 06 hours one day in July 2018 and arrested. She said she was led away in the pajamas and told she was being charged with murder and attempted murder. It was just the most scariest thing I've ever been through. It's just traumatizing, she said. Ms. Ledby added that she was diagnosed with PTSD following the arrest and received psychological support. So what exactly took place? What exactly took place with her? And how come they couldn't see or find out exactly what was happening? Well, this is all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, government on brink of giving NHS staff 5% pay rise. The government is expected to agree to give NHS staff in England their 5% pay increase as a key meeting later. Government and the NHS officials will meet representatives from 14 NHS unions covering all staff except for doctors and dentists at lunchtime. The unions will declare if a majority of the workforce are in favor of the deal, which also includes one of some was first put forward in March. Union sources said it was almost certain a majority had been reached. The members of Unison, the GMB, and the unions representing physio and midwives all voted yes, with just a few of the smaller unions left to declare. Unite is the only major union other than Nurses Union, the RCN, to vote no. If the majority give the pay award their backing, it will trigger ministers to sanction the rise and one-off payment worth at least 1,655 for all staff on the agenda for change contract. Now, this includes more than 1 million health workers and covers everyone from nurses and paramedics to porters and cleaners. Well, it is all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. When it comes to the Sudanese issue that is going on, well, the UK is ending its air evacuation in Sudan, with the focus shifting to increase humanitarian aid, the Foreign Secretary has said. Now, speaking this morning, James Cleverly warned any further relief efforts were likely to be impeded by a continuing conflict. Now, fighting in the country in its third week, with thousands of people fleeing since the conflict broke out, UK support is continuing in Port Sudan, from where remaining Britons can leave. The fighting erupted last month between the Sudanese military and paramilitary group, the Rapid Support Forces, the RSF, as they wrestle for control of the country, with the capital Khartoum at the center of the heaviest fighting. Now, last week, a negotiated short-term ceasefire allowed UK evacuation flights to take off from an airstrip in Khartoum from Tuesday onwards, while the ceasefire held. As of 16:30 GMT on Monday, the UK had evacuated 2,197 people from Sudan. The UK government described its operation as longest and largest airlift by any Western nation. All right then. So, it is all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. One other story from the UK, and then we'll move on to other sites as well to look at some of the stories making the rounds there. Hey, are you working with BP? Or have you got shares in there? Bumper BP profits of £4 billion in 3 months sparks criticism. Now, oil and gas giant has reported strong profits for the beginning of the year as energy prices remain high. Now, profits hits $5 billion in the first 3 months of the year, although this was down from $6.2 billion last year, with oil prices having fallen from the peak seen after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Now, bumper profits from energy firms had led to calls for them to pay more tax, with households facing higher bills. Now, Labour and the Liberal Democrats called for changes to the windfall tax. Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer called for a proper windfall tax on energy profits. Of course, we want BP and others to make profits so they can invest, but these are profits that they didn't expect to make. These are profits that are over and above because the world price of energy is so high. Now, Liberal Democrats leader Ed Davis said these eye-watering profits are a kick in the teeth for all those struggling to pay their energy bills. He added that the government had let oil and gas giants off the hook for billions of pounds while people and businesses struggle to pay for their gas and electricity. It is Starr Radio UK. Do you think you are being impacted still, or you think you feel cool? I'm cool. Is that what you feel? All right then. Now let's look at a couple of stories and then we'll bring the program to a close. In Japan, upskirting is banned as a sex crime is being reformed there. Now, lawmakers are introducing Japan's first law against taking sexually exploitative photos of videos of others without consent. The bill against photo voyeurism will prohibit acts such as upskirting and secret filming of sexual acts. Until now, such criminal cases had to be prosecuted under local prefecture laws, which greatly vary in scope. The bill is a part of a wider overhaul of Japan's laws on sex crimes, which will also expand the definition of rape. It explicitly prohibits the taking, distributing, and or possession of photographs of someone's genital without their consent. It also criminalizes the act of taking photographs of people being manipulated without their knowledge into sexual positions. Specifically, the bill bans the filming of children in a sexual manner without justifiable reason. Well, it is all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, moving on straight to the US as well. 7 bodies have been found in U.S. search for missing teens, says Oklahoma police. Now, 7 dead bodies have been found on a property in a small town in rural Oklahoma during a search for 2 missing teenagers, authorities have said. Now, police said they believe that the teenagers they were looking for, Ivy Webster and 14 and Brittany Brewer, 16, were among the dead. The corpse of Jesse McFadden, a felon and a registered sex offender who police said the girls were traveling with, was also found. The police did not list the cause of death. The Oklahoma Highway Patrol issued an endangered missing person advisory for the 2 teenagers on Monday. The girls had reportedly spent the weekend with McFadden, according to a local news affiliate, but never returned home. A search warrant for McFadden's home led police to Henrietta, a small town of about 6,000 people, where they discovered the bodies of 7 people. Okmulgee County Sheriff Eddie Rice said he believes Ivy and Brittany were found in the search, but said the state medical examiner will need to confirm the identity of the victim. The missing persons advisory was cancelled by Monday afternoon. A sad one there. We don't know exactly what took place, but if it is a sex offender who took them, that is obvious what he might have done to them. But well, we say may their souls rest in perfect peace. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. 10 minutes to the top of the hour. A prominent Palestinian prisoner has died in an Israeli jail after 86 days on hunger strike. Nakada Adnan was a senior figure in the militant group Islamic Jihad, who Israel had charged with terrorism offenses. The Israel Prison Service said he had refused medical treatment before he was found unconscious in his cell on Tuesday. Now, hours after his death, militants fired 3 rockets from the Gaza Strip towards Israel. No one was hurt. The Palestinian Prime Minister accused Israel of deliberately assassinating Adnan, whilst Islamic Jihad warned Israel that it would pay the highest price. Now, Adnan was 45 and from the north of the occupied West Bank and had been in and out of the detention by Israel over the past 2 decades. He had been on hunger strike 4 times before in protest, helping to make his name well known to Palestinians. It has become common for Palestinian prisoners to refuse food for extended periods while in Israeli jails, but in recent years such deaths have been rare due to medical interventions. Adnan began a 5th hunger strike immediately after being detained by Israeli forces at his home in Araba near the city of Jenin on 5th of February. Israeli authorities accuse him of supporting terrorism, affiliation with a terrorist group, and incitement, and he was due to go on trial this month. But Palestinian prisoners rights group Adamea said he was being held on spurious charges intended to further suppress Palestinian activities. Okay, or activists. My apologies there once again. It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. On the Ukraine war as well, more than 20,000 Russian troops killed since December. And that's what U.S. is saying. Now, more than 20,000 Russian soldiers have been killed in fighting in Ukraine since December. The U.S. estimates a further 80,000 have been wounded. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said, citing new declassified intelligence. Now, half of the dead are from Wagner mercenary company who have been attacking the eastern Bakhmut city. Now, Russia has been trying to take the small city since last year in a grinding war of attrition. Now, Moscow currently holds most of Bakhmut, but Ukrainian troops still control a small portion of the city in the west. The fierce battle has taken on huge symbolic importance for both sides. Now, Ukrainian officials have also said they are using the battle to kill as many of the Russian troops as possible and wear down its reserves. Wow. Sad incident. Innocent people being involved in that. And then AI godfather Jeffrey Hinton has warned of dangers as he quits Google. This morning I was having a chat with my producer, and we're talking about advancement in technology, and one of them, and we're talking, so you look at advancement in technology now, what we are seeing here now, and comparing to the days of old where they were traveling on camels, Jesus' time or Abraham's time or Muhammad's time, those times, But a man widely seen as the godfather of artificial intelligence has quit his job, warning about the growing dangers from developments in the field. Now, Jeffrey Hinton, 75, announced his resignation from Google in a statement to the New York Times, saying he now regretted his work. He said some of the dangers of AI chatbots were quite scary. Right now, they are not more intelligent than us, as far as I can tell you, but I think they soon may be. Dr. Hinton also accepted that his age had played into his decision to leave the tech giant. I'm 75, so it's time to retire. Dr. Hinton, pioneering research on neural networks and deep learning, has paved the way for current AI systems like ChatGPT. In an artificial intelligence, neural networks are systems that are simply to the human brains, and in the way they learn and process information, they enable AIs to learn from experience as a person would. This is called deep learning. So now AIs are going to have what they've had an experience of an event or something, they'll be able now to psych themselves up to give response and act in particular ways. My goodness. I think some times are coming that man will have to be hiding in their homes, because if you wake up and AIs have blocked the road, say they won't allow your car to travel or you to travel, what will you do? It's going to be interesting. Well. It is Starr Radio UK. This is where I bring the program to a close for today. I promise you, God willing, tomorrow we're going to be coming your way with another edition of the morning show. But wherever you are, don't even think of touching the dial, because a lot more is going to come in the UK. I'm confident Sue Gray did not break rules, says Keir Starmer. Tomorrow I'll be telling you more about that. But for now, before we bring you that song from the program from BB Clement, BB Means Business. Enjoy this song. It is from the Natural High by Natural High. There's a band known as Natural High, PH. Bob Marley's cover version, Africa Unite. Enjoy it, and we'll see you all later. It's been me, your one and only Archie, and I say bye-bye for now.
Radio UK.
Thanks for listening.
Africa unite, 'cause we're moving right out of Babylon. And we're going to home of Father's land. Yes, man, this foundation is in the holy mountain. Jalab to get up Zion and all the dwellings of Jacob. Yeah, these things have been spoken in the city of God. Without the entire race, Ethiopian said that this man was born there. And then the IS themselves had established the earth. Jah Rastafari.
Thanks for listening.
Africa unite, 'cause we're moving right out of Babylon. Then we're going to home on Father's land. Marcus Garvey said it, let it be done. We are the children of the Rastaman. As it's been said already, let it be done. We are the children of the higher man. So Africa unite, 'cause the children wanna come home now. Africa unite, 'cause we're moving right out of Babylon. And we're going to home of Father's land. Yeah. A good and a pleasant thing to do.
Online, on mobile, and soon on DAB. This is Starr Radio UK, the leading Afro-Caribbean radio station in London.